plus miles per hour. There's Highway 391, there's 23, there's 178 through town. This is Highway 1. Lexington High School is right about in there. That soon will be into Lexington. There's 170. In a matter of just minutes, that particular cell will contain some gusty winds and some heavy rain. But notice this is inching east-northeast. So Gilbert, Chapin, you're next in line with this particular cell. At that point, it may, again, just because the tornado warning is over, it doesn't mean this particular cell can't spin up another tornado as such. The atmosphere is ripe for this, and we may have multiple warnings, so it's very important that you make sure that you pay attention to make sure that you hear your town is in the path of a particular storm. All right, so this is going to be happening throughout the afternoon. This is not one situation to where, sometimes we have these severe storms and then we're done with it like a cold front moves through. That's not the case today. These storms are going to be popping this afternoon, actually all the way through evening time. In fact, Batesburg-Leesville, you have your storm now. You may have another one in about 45 minutes to an hour, and then you may have another one after that. So this is a very unusual situation that I've not seen in all the years I've here, 20 plus years of watching this weather. And this is, again, a severe outbreak that we've not seen in quite a long time, and it will continue through the day. So what we need to do, though, is make preparations just to be safe. I mean, if you have a safe room or an area where you can go into, which is an interior room, or even a bathroom, even if the bathroom has windows, if that's the only place you can go, tear off the shower curtain, put some towels over your head. Just have a plan in place. If you have friends that live in a mobile home, or you yourself that live in a mobile home, now's the time to make plans not to be there today. Maybe let's go see some friends, maybe head to the mall, head to a place where there's a real strong structure that you know of, or if you have a safe place to go, now's the time to do that, and let's make preparations. If you cannot leave a mobile home and you have absolutely nowhere to go, I know there's some folks that have that, in that particular case, head into interior room or head into, again, the bathroom. Even if a mobile home, if you have no place else to go, head into the bathroom. Do not get in your car and leave or try to outrun the storm. Once the storm's over you, just stay in. All right, just stay in and just protect yourself as best you can. If you're driving, by the way, and you see these storms, because we're going to have these storms pop up, and you may be driving and the storm may produce a tornado. What do? Well, you certainly can't outrace the tornado. Don't do that. If you see a viaduct, maybe you're traveling on I-20 or 26, you see something, don't go under the viaduct for safety. That's not a good place to be at all. In fact, that's a dangerous place to be. What happens is you'll see pictures of people crouched up near the edge of the bridge, and the wind whips through there, debris whips through there, and actually as the wind whips through there, it's picking up vorticity. It's picking up even faster, and you could be seriously injured, if not killed, underneath the bridge, which you thought was safe. I don't blame you. I would have thought the same thing, but trust me, that's not at all what to do. The situation is, if the tornado's actually on you, or upon you, is to pull over, head into a ditch, a low-lying area, and just lay down. Do not outrace the storm, because you won't be able to do that, and certainly don't be chasing any of these storms as well. So this is the biggest cell that we're worried about at this point, and again, it's western Lexington County as this races off towards the east-northeast, Chapin, Gilbert, and soon to be Lexington, and eventually as this moves off towards the east-northeast, it will clip in parts of West Columbia, Casey, Irmo, and then into northeast Richland County as well. Then it'll race off into Kershaw County. Hopefully by that point it loses some of its juice, but right now it's pretty potent. That's what I have. Vaughn, you looking at something at this point you want to share with us?
That's right. We're still watching the same storm. Of course, we're going to continue to stay right on it, just because it does have that tornado possibility in it. Still, so far, we haven't received any information of ground truth or confirmation to this, of this being on the ground. Of course, we'll continue to keep you posted if we get that. Why don't you go ahead and put a brand new storm track on here. We have it moving into Lexington now at 150. Now, I'm sure you've already seen the rain. You've probably already seen thunder and lightning in Lexington, but the severe portion of this cell has not reached the city of Lexington just yet. Next in line will be Swansea. You're going to come up at about 2:08. That's after Columbia at 2:02. St. Matthews at 2:29. Shaw Air Force Base, if it holds together, 2:35 for you. Look at the intense lightning in this storm. This is the cell that has gone to tornadic activity. We've been telling you the possibility was there. The tornado has now been confirmed in the inside, not on the ground. It certainly means that there is a radar indicated tornado that is around that area. Now, pulling it in closer, you see the area north of Batesburg, Leesville, north of where where the word says Batesburg, Leesville, that's an area that we're going to continue to watch. This is what we call an inflow notch. And so that's the area that would get that warm, moist air in it. And as it flows in, it could, of course, produce gusty wind. But in addition to that, that tornado, that is the area that if you saw a tornado, it would be in that area. Now, not to mention, also, another factor that we have with a supercell storm like this would also be hail. Hail size estimates have been very, very high for today. Notice that the area just under the sign that says number 1, we're seeing a 3.5-inch diameter possibility inside of that. The area over towards the B in Batesburg, Leesville, probably about a 3-inch diameter possibility in there. All of these areas warrant watching because of the chance that that hail could certainly make it out of the storm and onto the ground and cause major damage. Of course, hail damage from any system, any size hail could cause major damage to crops, of course, any property, cars, any things of that nature. So that hail size certainly approaching the 3-inch in diameter size. Next up on the list, gusty wind. That's something that we'll have to watch. The system that was up near Winnsboro, that storm has gotten much, much weaker. Earlier on, we were seeing some small hail in that, but notice the purple area now starting to head over 77 there. That area is starting to show some signs of weakening, so that's always a good thing when we're watching these storms. How much rain has it produced? Just in the short time that it's been raining, we are approaching the 2-inch mark for rainfall. Let's go ahead and query some of this so you can see what we're talking about. The storm that did go severe, look at that, south of Greenwood, it has produced over 2 inches of rain in just that short amount of time. Another area just outside of Saluda, let's go ahead and put a number on that for you. Notice about 1.25 inches of rain in that area. Even up towards Newberry, you've seen a decent amount of showers, and a lot of this is not the main storm system. That main storm that has that tornado warning on it, it's actually near Saluda moving into Lexington County. But look at how much rain is being produced behind this. So we have to watch all of these areas, not just the area that's currently producing the tornadic activity. A high resolution radar on here now, pulling it in closer for you. Again, we're still watching that area, still coming up with extremely high reflectivity. That's the area you see there in the purple. Gusty wind, that possibility of a tornado still in there. If it continues to move at 55 miles per hour to the east, we have areas near Irmo, Lexington, South Congaree. You're all going to be in the line of fire for this. So this is the time to take cover. You need to prepare appropriately. Hopefully you had those conversations with the kids and everything so that you could, of course, go ahead and get them updated and aware. Possibility of rotation in there. Batesburg, Leesville. Look at this area that's over you. Yes, there is a high chance of rotation in that. That is the storm that has gone severe. That's the storm that we're watching. It will continue for about 10 more minutes, folks, and that is a tornado warning, not a watch. That means it is happening. It is going on as we speak. Continue to watch that area, bring it out farther for you. And that's really the only batch that we're watching for the possibility of rotation. But I do want you to look over towards Casey, South Congaree. This is the area. Notice that we're just seeing the spotty areas of blue. That's an indication that these storms are intensifying, and as they begin to move over warmer, moist, uninhibited air, that's where they could possibly turn severe. That's also the area right in that high risk category. Does include Orangeburg County, parts of Lexington County, parts of Calhoun County, Bamberg, Barnwell County, Aiken County, as well into parts of Colleton County, and as we get close to the low country. But actually, this is a good chunk of you who are listening to me right now. If your power goes out, make sure you remember that you can go on your mobile device and you can always listen to us there. Also, that moderate risk, which is still very high for this area in almost every other county here in South Carolina, you have some type of risk, if not moderate, up to enhanced. So right now, we're still tracking severe thunderstorm warning for Lexington and Newberry counties that will continue until 2:30 now. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for Aiken, Edgefield, Lexington, another portion of Lexington, basically a little more to the south. That will continue for you until 2:15. And that tornado warning, the reason we're going on and the reason we're staying on, that will continue until 2 o'clock. So we have about 8 more minutes on that. And that is that area here that is now over Gilbert. We're watching that as it heads right towards Lexington High School, moving to the east at 55 miles miles per hour. I think that was the area Tim was talking about earlier as it starts to approach Lexington High School. And the good news is most kids should be home at this point, home from school, and lots of you probably heading home from work at this point. Tim, what you got?
Yeah, that's a smart move that a lot of the schools have canceled classes early and sent everybody home for sure. This is a estimated hail size. My goodness, that is really impressive. Of course, this is live at 1:52 now. That's just the east of Batesburg. Leavesville. That's the storm itself producing hail. So Lexington, I would surmise you're going to get at least maybe marble-size hail, at least perhaps up to a $50, maybe even ping-pong-size hail fairly soon here. So give you an idea of what we're looking at. This is indeed a supercell storm here as it's moving off towards the east-northeast rapidly. So there's the lake. I mean, it's inundated now with this particular storm. Chapin, Irmo, you're next with this particular cell. Be prepared right now in Irmo for wind speeds, perhaps up to 55 to 60 miles per hour plus, hail and very heavy rain with this particular cell. So that's right on your doorstep, and that'll go through Chapin and Irmo and then off towards the northeast. Fairly soon then up to Blythewood. This will continue to move towards the east, so Lexington, Casey, West Columbia, and then into the city here will get clipped at least by that end if all things continue. I'm going to pull out here and show you also what we're looking at, sort of a broad perspective, high-res radar. Watch this. I mean, here's Norris, Georgia. Watch that cell particularly just explode there. This whole area here is going to start exploding with more storms. Just because the storms are over, typically what happens is you have these storms go through and the atmosphere calms down, right? So then everything, the rain's gone and we simply it gets cooler off. That's not the case with this. The atmosphere continues to be unstable. And these storms beget storms. They sort of feed off themselves when you have an atmosphere like this. So there you have it. Those are the storms there. This is a look. You see on the right hand of your screen there, that's I-20 West, as the roadways indeed are just absolutely wet. We're under a flash flood watch for tonight. I want to show you this, the broad perspective, even idea what we're looking at. Some of the things that I find fascinating with this, I know you can't really see these clouds, but the way these clouds are billowing here, and you see the way they're going like this, we have what we call it's the subtropical jet. It's a jet stream, and it's helping to feed these storms. I mean, it's constant. It's like a buffet here, and it's going to have a lot until all this is said and done. These storms here popping in parts of Alabama, in Georgia, all of this will be headed our way the rest of this afternoon and through this evening. And there's nothing to stop these storms from getting strength. Like once they're done, hey, there's more behind it. So you can just tell the atmosphere that this jet stream is allowing this transport of Gulf moisture, but not only that, it's allowing what we call shear in the atmosphere. That's to where the winds are blowing at a certain direction at the surface, but you go up in the atmosphere, they're in a different direction. And if you go higher, they're at a different direction and a different speed. And it's all of that that will create these vorticities and these twirls or twists in the atmosphere that will produce tornadoes. And it'll be continuous, not only for the rest of this afternoon, but for tonight. So it's sort of a broad perspective there of what we're looking at. So once these storms move on through, there's more behind it. All right, so this is not just a one-time event and we're done with it. So it's 1:55 now. We have another 5 more minutes with this tornado warning, and then I would surmise there'll be more. We're under a tornado watch until 8 o'clock tonight. All right, so that's the very latest with that. Vaughn, what do you have?
All right, we're still looking at that same area, still picking up a huge hail return here. Now, what I want to do, even with this hail return coming in just south of Batesburg, Leesville, yes, there is still a tornado warning on that area, but I also want to go ahead here and put what I call a storm track on here, but we're just going to do it from one particular area. If this continues to move as fast as it is, I'm going to give you a greater view, a larger view here, clear that off and put on another storm track for you so that you can see if it continues to move to the east at about 55 miles per hour, that would put it in Gilbert, meaning the hail core of this now, not just the light rain that you're already seeing out there in Gilbert, but the hail core of this moving in at about 205. By that point, the current warning that's on it right now will already expire, but it could, of course, become extended by that point. Still have a severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect for that area. That could be in Gilbert for you by 205, in Lexington by 222, and by 230 in South Congaree. Areas near Columbia, in the downtown Columbia area, we're already starting to see rain here, and of course dark clouds and rain in the city of Columbia. But this hail core, if it continues to hold together, which does of course include that tornado possibility and that rotation in the higher levels of the atmosphere, that would be in town for us at about 2:43. So for many of us, there's really no way to avoid it at this point. That storm track will continue to show us that it will move to the east at 55 miles per hour. So far, we have not gotten an update on that, but we do know that the biggest indicator here would be gusty wind. The tornado could possibly rotate down to the ground, but right now it's radar indicated. And as I'm talking to you, I'm also reading things that are coming in here from the National Weather Service. Right now, it's moving a little bit slower, actually, moving at 25 miles per hour. So what I'll do is I'll put another storm track on here for you so that we can get an appropriate time. Notice that it has given us an update and it's gotten a little weaker. So if it continues to move at about 25 miles per hour to the east, that would put it moving a bit slower than the earlier storm track. That would put it in Gilbert at 203, right near Lexington High School, 216. Hopefully folks have cleared out of that area. In Lexington at 226, in Casey by 247, also in Columbia by 257. And even as we look at that area, I want you to know that we can also see that top section clipping the southern part of Lake Murray. So certainly this area could certainly experience some hail. That southern part of it could certainly experience some hail as we head over Gaston. And so that could be moving over your vicinity here in the next few minutes as well. Looks like most of, I'd say the hail core would stay just north of Pillion and Swansea, but still you're going to be in the vicinity of the very, very gusty wind at that point. Got some new information?
Yeah, let's go on here. Extended the tornado warning now as it moves towards the east. This would be Lexington, Casey, South Congaree. The tornado warning is now for you until 2:30 this afternoon as that particular cell racing off towards the east, northeast. So once again, until 2:30, the tornado warning has now been extended to Lexington. This includes West Columbia. This includes Casey, South Congaree, Springdale, Red Bank. Again, until 2:30. All right, and this, let me show you this particular cell here, I think, of concern. Right here, let me get out here and just show you. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit closer. That's the cell I think that I'm most concerned about as we watch this thing. It has that particular hook, and as Vaughn showed a great job a little while ago to how the air moves here with this particular cell. This is what we look at for tornadic storm development, and it's right in here. So this would be I-20. And to give an idea here, perspective, we get into 178. That particular cell, that's racing off towards Lexington. I would also surmise right in here is another issue that we'll have to watch. But that in particular, to me, I think is the cell that I think is the reason why they've issued this tornado warning until 2:30. I'm going to zoom in here even closer if you'll let me do that. There it is. There's Highway 278. Give you an example here. And again, I'm talking about this area here. All right, that's the two-notch road. That's the Lexington two-notch road. That's Gilbert. You can see it updates itself live here as this moves off very quickly towards the northeast and east rapidly. So Lexington, Casey, West Columbia, Red Bank, you're under the gun here. Remember, now a tornado warning for West Columbia, Casey. You have a good amount of heads up before this thing heads into town. So make preparations now if you're in West Columbia, Casey, and certainly into Lexington, because that is the cell. This is racing off towards the east, northeast. And in here, these are wind speeds, I'd say at least 60, 70 miles per hour, some of these gusts, and clearly maybe at least half quarter size hail to half size hail, half dollar size hail. And there's quite a lot of that. I would surmise there could be even ping pong, maybe golf ball size hail with this. I mean, this is how big. I've cut this the storm a little bit ago, and look how high in the atmosphere. We're talking anywhere 45, 50,000 feet in the atmosphere. That's a big supercell storm that's developing and producing the potential tornado. So right in there, that would be another area of concern. But this is my biggest concern here. This was near Gilbert, and all that moves off towards the northeast very rapidly. So these are hail-producing storms, damaging windstorms, and extremely heavy rain as well. Again, and this will be for this tornado warning now that's extended further towards the east is until 2:30. And this is, again, if you're just joining us, this is for Lexington, Casey, West Columbia, Irmo, you'd be involved in this as well, Springdale, South Congaree, Pine Ridge, all of that. And then, of course, it moves off towards the east into Columbia. The tornado warning is not for Columbia as of yet, but again, it is now for the eastern part of Lexington County as this moves off and races off towards the east. So there's Highway 6. Let's see if we can back up here just a little bit and see what we can say. There's our tornado warning again. Now, there it is. There's Casey, West Columbia. Again, this is until 2:30. Find out where you live here, and are you in this red area? If you are, that's the tornado warning. So the storms are here, right about in here, just about ready to enter into Lexington. So if you're in Casey, West Columbia, this is an incredibly amount of heads up for this particular cell as it races off towards the east. It'll be over West Columbia, Casey within the next 10 to 15 minutes. I mean, that's how fast these things are moving. So now would be the time to head to an interior room. Perhaps it would be a closet, maybe it's a bedroom, maybe perhaps it's a hallway. If you can't do that, let's go to the bathroom. Head to the bathroom. Even if there's a window in the bathroom, that's fine. Just take a towel, put that over your head, take a shower curtain, put that over yourself. You can yank the shower curtain down, we can replace that later, and then just stay in the bathroom until this storm is over. If you're driving, do not drive anywhere near the storm, and don't think you can outrace the storm either. It's moving, these storms are erratic. They don't take paths like we do. This storm soon, my feeling, will be into Columbia here before too long, and we'll continue to watch that. Now let's go to Max 1 if we can for just a minute. I'll show you this enhanced view here, and there it is. You can have, this is our, Max 1 shows the high risk of severe weather. Very seldom are we in a high risk category for severe weather. In fact, I can count on one hand how many times in 20 years I've seen that for us, and I may still have some fingers to spare. So again, that's, you can see the moderate risk there for pretty much the rest of the state. And by the way, this is for the rest of today, for the absolute rest of today, that we'll be watching these showers and thunderstorms, and the potential for these to be severe are tremendous. So there it is. There's our tornado warning again. You can see the severe thunderstorm warnings are peppered about here, but my biggest concern is the tornado warning that is now, you can see the red there. That would include, I'll zoom in here a little bit closer, West Columbia, Casey, certainly Lexington, now just south of Irmo. That will be headed into the city here. If this cell in particular holds together, even if it's not tornadic in nature, it will be damaging winds, certainly some hail and some very heavy rain into the city here within at least 25 to 30 minutes. All right, so that continues to move off towards the east. Vaughn, what do you have for us?
We're still watching that tornado warning. As we mentioned, all the areas shaded in the red. Of course, notice we just got an update. One did expire, but of course they will continue to extend it for us. So as we watch this line, it continues to shift on over. All the areas shaded in the red, that's our tornado watch. That means conditions are favorable for us to see a tornado warning at any point. And boy, have we seen our fair share. So the first thing we want to make sure we do for you here is go ahead and zoom in closely for you so that you can see exactly what's going on. Now, what I want to do here is take you in close to these areas that we're seeing here, because this is the area where we're starting to see a lot of this activity, and a lot of folks are starting to ask us a lot of questions. Vaughn, where are we going to see the winds go? Where is it going to go? What's going to happen over the next few minutes? Well, as we're looking at all of these areas, you can see for most of us, this is going to be a situation where we continue to see that possibility in there, and we will continue to see this throughout the entire day. For many of you, this is what it's going to be a long day. Look over towards Irmo. You're seeing that red, that high reflectivity. However, you do not have a tornado warning for your city, particularly right now. That tornado warning is staying just to the south of you. But I'm sure if you look out the window now, you can certainly see a dangerous situation, lots of high wind, and of course, as this continues. The broader view shows that we're watching that entire area now that is, of course, shaded in that deep red. Notice that warning extends right onto the line there for Richland and Lexington County. But certainly, if you're in and around the Lexington County area or in the Richland County area, you want to make sure that you are, of course, being particularly cautious if you have to head out. So this is the tornado warning that I mentioned. Notice that it does include, this is the watch for us right now, Aiken, Barnwell County, Columbia, all of these areas under that watch. And then we even see what is a warning and that flash flood watch as well. This will also continue for us until 8 o'clock. So we'll be watching all of this until we get to the 8 o'clock hour. We do need to continue to let you know exactly what's going on out there. Getting in close is really particular. I think I just had someone call me on Facebook or send me a message on Facebook, and they were actually asking me what were the winds going to do. But what I want to do is basically show you how this squall line will set up. Now, this is the line that has gone severe. So as you take this line, and yeah, I'm going to extend it out for you here, all the way over to the end of that warning area, and so that I can put some of these towns on here, because lots of folks keep asking about particular towns. So as we see it moving in, now you're probably already seeing some rain. You're already seeing some rain, some wind, and hearing some thunder, seeing some lightning. But the severe portion will move like this. For a 207, right now we are hearing it over Columbia, east over 225. I just got someone asked me about Hopkins earlier on. That's the area that we'll see it pushing in towards 225, Orangeburg towards 240. And again, this is the time of day that many of you would be moving about, but it is best for you to stay put, if at all possible, for now and over the next several hours. Plenty of lightning with this, and we talked about this a bit earlier. Lightning is actually not an indicator of severe storms. You know, yeah, you could have plenty of lightning in a storm, but if a storm does not have that wind speed over 58 miles per hour, and of course, if it does not conclude certain size hail or possible rotation, the storm will not go severe. Well, so far we have seen plenty of lightning and several other parameters in here which have gone severe, and which tell us that this is a situation that we will continue to monitor. As we continue to, what we're going to do here is kind of clear everything off for you so that we can go back to our home view and just see what's going on. So this is the storm that we're watching. Look at all the lightning. If you live in and around Pilgin, it is headed your way. I'll zoom in a bit closer so that I can show you some of these areas, because we're asking about particular towns. We get a lot of that information coming in. So if you have not seen the rain just yet, it's coming. Gaston is headed your way. I'm sure you hear the thunder. If you're down towards Highway 321, a popular area heading down into Orangeburg County, it's in place for you. Horrell Hill, east over, light rain for you. The severe portion of the storm has not quite reached your area yet. Of course, we're seeing lots of traffic on the road. I do know that several businesses, of course, schools have decided to go ahead and let folks go home early. That is a good idea right now, certainly as we're looking at this ever-changing situation. So again, we're back to our high resolution radar. This just gives us a good indication of where we're seeing that dark red. That's the area that we're seeing the gusty wind, very, very high wind. Also, we've seen the reports of the possible rotation. Again, this is still radar indicated. I don't know if we've seen any pictures coming in just yet, but so far we have not received any confirmation of that tornado on the ground. Be careful if you're looking out your window or if you're trying to take pictures from any particular location. If you're outside of a sturdy building, you want to make sure that you're careful. Also, if you live in a mobile home, evacuate, get out. You need to be in a safe place. I hope you've already done that, certainly before this wind starts to move in. That is not a safe place to be. I can't tell you to go to a bathtub in a mobile home, because it's not a safe place to be. A safe place to be would be in a sturdy home in an interior room. That's always the best place to be in a situation like this. Our radar continues to update and give us more information. Notice how we continue to see that red in there, which is an indication that the storm is, quote unquote, holding together. So it continues to give us what is showing us to be a strong storm system that's moving through. We are in that high area. We've been talking a little bit about hail and the possibility of hail, stronger numbers coming into play as well. We just lost one of our TVs here. Okay, it's back on now. So what we have here, I want to go ahead and show you an estimate of some of the hail that we have in place there. I think I hit the cone here, but what we'll do is try to go ahead and pull that out for you and just kind of give you an indication of where that's going to go over the next few minutes. For the most part, this is something that you really can't do anything about right now. You're going to have to continue to deal with it and watch as it continues to unfold. But we've been telling everyone about it. We have had this opportunity to get you all updated and get you aware of what's going on. The possibility of that hail right in there, and this is right over I-20 now, almost 2-inch in diameter hail in that deepest core there, and this is right along I-20. So hopefully most folks are in place and not traveling along I-20. But I-20, I guess this would be just south of Red Bank, just before you get into Lexington. We just got an update on that, and it is showing us that that area does still have some hail in it. Also, the storm that was up near Lake Wateree, that one is trying to redevelop. Earlier, it got a little weaker when it was over near 77, but it's now trying to redevelop on us. So this could, of course, be the situation and the story of the night. Some of them will get weaker, and then they'll get stronger again. That intensification is something you can't stop when you have a particularly dangerous situation, but an unstable environment like this, you'll continue to see that chance in there for the stronger storms. They'll get weaker and get stronger again, and we'll be here all night. We're still in that tornado warning, so that's the reason we're still on air with you. That will continue until 2:30. Tim Miller.
Yes. Again, it is indeed an afternoon that we are continuing to watch and to monitor as we move forward here. This is, again, our tornado warning that's in effect until 2:30, and I would surmise they may move that even closer towards Columbia. Right now we have a storm that's entering into the city of Columbia. There's no warning as of yet, but again, so this is again, the tornado warning in effect until 2:30. And that's for eastern Lexington County. So we're talking another 17, 18 minutes as these storms now are racing off towards the east. Sort of reflectivity here. So Batesburg, Leesville, you're done for now. There's more headed your way. So what's happening here, you're getting, the storms are actually headed towards the radar. So the radar sort of like blanks out for just a second or two. And there you have it. But nonetheless, don't think that if there's not any severe weather or perhaps potential severe weather near the radar site, which is at the airport near Springdale. So yes, you do have it, even though it doesn't particularly pick it up there. But there's Casey. That's downtown. We have a significant, I'd say a decent cell here, now the north end of town, maybe near Cottontown in the city. And that's moving off towards the northeast and towards the east fairly rapidly. Lexington, you clearly have some hail. Red Bank as well, down to South Congaree. I mean, hail as in the size perhaps of maybe even $half size hail or larger. That's damaging hail, and if you're out in it, it also could be deadly, not only to you, but also to your pets as well. So make sure all pets are inside. I don't know if you can hear the thunder outside the studios, but it's fairly brisk and fairly loud for sure. What is that view, y'all? Is that Bull? Is that right outside is that outside the studios? Yeah, it's outside the studios here at the station. So give you an idea of looking at Bull Street and perhaps Gervais Street. This here is a particular storm rotation that we have here, and all this is this whole cell. It's a supercell. So we have rotation in this particular part of the storm, but you also have rotation here and minor rotation within that. Now, bear in mind, not every storm that has rotation is tornadic in nature. I want to drive that point home. This doesn't mean there's tornadoes. It means that the possibility can certainly be there, but not every rotating storm is actually a tornado. But notice how it matches the hail here fairly much. This is some mighty large hail south of Lexington, and there's more of it, and it continues into West Columbia, Casey, and that'll be in the city as well. So let me pull out here and show you another broader perspective of these storms. And notice, remember how we have these storms fire up and they continue, and I said more will fire up? That's exactly what's happening. Watch them go in parts of Georgia. And they're not showing any sign of dying out. In fact, they just started forming. This is what we have to get through for the next hour. Behind that, there's some more. So it's 2:15 now, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm thinking maybe at least another 5 hours that we're going to have to deal with these storms that continue to pop throughout the afternoon. I mean, so this is something that is happening now. There may be a little bit of a break, and then we'll have another round of these storms move on in. That's why that flood watch is also important, because we're going to get some pretty heavy rain out of this. One of these particular storms could produce an inch plus of rain. Here's a view of the interstates. I mean, it's down to a crawl. That's I-26 West, mile marker 105, looking towards 105. That'd be St. Andrews Road, looking towards Piney Grove from that perspective there. And there's St. Andrews Road. I mean, it is down to a crawl. So by all means, give yourself a lot of extra time if you have to travel. But I would rather you not. Just stay home. This is a view here from one of our cameras actually inside the car as we're driving. Now, the person driving is not taking the camera, I can assure you of that. But this is a live look here of what it looks like if you were driving, downtown with all the rain and the storms. So that's one perspective there. And this rain is just it's raining to beat the band in some of these places. It's blinding rain. And the problem with this is the things that I also worry about is what we call tornadoes that have what we call a rain shield storm. That's perhaps if a tornado forms, you really can't see it because of the amount of rain that's falling out of the particular storm. That's something we also have to worry about. Look at this view here. That's a view from 26. Man, oh man. I mean, it's just, again, all of us are getting involved in this. And again, as I said before, once this passes, there'll be more storms to form. Let's get to radar and I'll show you what we're looking at here again. Maybe we can take it full. We have this band of more storms. So this is the storms coming through now. More storms forming in Saluda. And then there's more here in Georgia. And then there's even more behind me as they'll continue to move off towards the east-northeast. We'll zoom in here a little bit closer. There's the city. Dentsville, Fort Jackson, within a matter of minutes, you're going to get the brunt of what the rest of us have been seeing for the past hour or so. But there it is. It's over the city now. This is some mighty heavy rain. So I would say maybe near Columbia Mall, North Two Notch Road. Let's see, maybe near, what else would we say there? Maybe near the Blue Cross Blue Shield building. I-7720, that's going to be under the gun here just a little bit with some more heavy, very heavy rain as that moves off into Blythewood. So there's Blythewood. It's just to the south of you. There goes another warning. We'll figure what that's out here in just a minute. Again, this will be happening. We're going to keep that on so we can keep up to date. You'll be hearing that, unfortunately, throughout the night. But again, as these continue to move off towards the east, we'll continue to get more and more of these. Vaughn, what do you have as I check that latest bulletin?
All right, we are still tracking that brand new warning that just came in. Of course, this is the one that you see here for Lexington County. That will continue until 2:30. As far as what to do, that is always so important. Your tornado safe place, point blank, you should be in a sturdy home, storm shelter, or perhaps in a basement. Now, the first thing I want to tell you is if you are perhaps in a mobile home, there's no safe place to be. You need to be at a safe place, a sturdy home. That's where you need to be. And then when you're inside of that home, you need to be in a basement or in a storm shelter. Now, as we kind of break this apart and look inside, you want to be in an interior room, perhaps in a bathroom, somewhere in the interior section of the house. A lot of times when they have these very, very strong tornadoes and you see damage, you'll see all the outer edges being torn apart, but that center section, sometimes the bathtub will be the only thing that's left. So you want to go ahead and get in a bathtub. Make sure you cover up your head, make sure that you're protecting your head and neck, and so you're down on the ground, close to the ground, so that you're not so much of a target, and you certainly want to be away from doors and windows. Hopefully you had this discussion with the kids yesterday before they had to leave school earlier today. Heavy rain pounding now at our studio here in downtown Columbia. The tornado warning, so let's just get you caught up on that. It continues until 2:30. That's the area in the red. That's the area that's already passed through Batesburg, Leesville. It's now starting to move into South Congaree, and it'll be hitting right on the tip of Columbia here in the next few minutes. So we're experiencing rain, but it's not the rain from the severe core of that storm. All right, severe thunderstorm warnings, a host of them. Lexington, Saluda, also into Newberry, parts of Calhoun, Lexington, and Richland County, also other parts of Lexington County, all under a severe thunderstorm warning. And then to add it all up, we also have a watch that's in effect. This is a tornado watch. This will continue for us until 8 o'clock for most of our counties. Remember, we're seeing those issues. Now, I also want to see, as you're looking at some of the video behind me, I'm sure you're seeing some hail that's falling. Earlier on, we were looking at the hail core of this system, and there was a possibility that we could see golf ball size hail. It was higher up in the storm, but you could always see some of that rotate down to the ground. But we've already seen some indications from what I can see based on that video. Looks like about pea-size hail or so that I do see falling in that video. So of course we'll confirm that, but as of right now, we did have that tornado warning that was earlier back towards Saluda. It moved through Lexington County, now continues to rake over Lexington County, and it's going to eventually move into the southern portion of Richland County. Even if the warning comes down, it still has severe parameters with it. It's still particularly dangerous. You still need to stay aware. If you're in your safe place, you need to go ahead and stay there. Hopefully you have the phone charged just in case you lose power. You can always catch us on your mobile devices. I think we're on Facebook Live as well. So you can pretty much catch us anywhere if you lose power and you can't watch the television set. Now, let's head in a bit closer. So we're watching it. Notice all the areas in the high red. That's high reflectivity, gusty wind in addition to very, very high rain. Notice that the video you're seeing behind me, hopefully none of you are out driving. I do know a lot of businesses, of course, schools went on and let folks go a bit early. And that is, of course, because of that possibility in there where you could see this strong weather. And that's what we're seeing. So what I want to do now is take us in a bit closer. I think what I'm going to do is zoom us in closer so that many of you can kind of see your cities and towns. I've gotten several questions about certain cities and towns. Unfortunately, it's hard to get to every city and town, but when you're looking at this severe portion, let's get in close here. Now, if you live up in the northeastern portion of Richland County, you're dealing with heavy rain. There is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for you. So Pontiac, yes. Fort Jackson, yes. You're under the gun. It's on the way. Laurel Hill, Hopkins, hadn't quite gotten to you yet, but I'm sure you're seeing gusty wind, you see the lightning, you're hearing that thunder, but the core that has the severe portion with it, it's still over Columbia, Casey, all that deep red. It's going to continue to shift on over to the east. Now, earlier on, these were moving at about 55 miles per hour. Now, I think the last update I saw is moving at about 35, so they're moving just a little bit slower in there. So, South Congaree, you're under the gun right now. I'm sure many of you are probably without power as we speak, so you're probably not able to watch me on your television set, but again, remember to log on those mobile devices so that you can get this information and so that you stay safe. And again, if you're in an area that is a mobile home, you want to make sure that you evacuate, or perhaps call your family and friend just to make sure that they're okay as we look at those areas. So let's take it out here. So we're back looking at the bigger picture. Behind it now, Chapin, you probably think you're in the clear, but you're not just yet. Even though the rain is starting to become light, you still have that severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect for you. So that's all the areas in that deep orange there. Notice it's all shifting to the east, so I-20 would be a terrible place to be right now. Look at this. So I-20 in Lexington, this is I-20 here. Look at it as it goes down towards Batesburg, Leesville. It's pretty much covered in heavy pounding rain. Also, within some of that, we could also have some hail. I have the hail core coming up here soon, but also want to show you the lightning. Look at the intense lightning. Here's the thing about lightning. It causes fires. Before I left home earlier on, I think I'd heard about 3 fires that were started in the Atlanta area, and they were all blamed on lightning. So lightning certainly dangerous. However, it's not a parameter for a severe thunderstorm. So if you have lightning, you can have as much lightning in the world as you want. It won't make a storm go severe. There are other factors that will make the storm go severe. So not lightning, but yes, there is plenty of lightning in here. And up and down I-20, I-77, let's say if you were trying to get to Winsboro right now, you'd have a tough go because things are really, really tough there for you. Getting into another couple of our cities and towns here. Hopkins, a storm just developed over you as we head out towards Leesburg Road, Eastover. All of you, you're now seeing more or less lighter rain, moderate rain. This is not the severe core, so this is really round 1 for you. So this will continue to advance on over to the east. That deep red that you see there in Casey, not surprised to see hail coming out of this. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see all these areas, Batesburg, Leesville, all of you getting hammered with possibly small hail. Now in the higher levels of the atmosphere, and as we kind of look at this from our vantage point, it shows us that you could possibly see 2-inch in diameter hail. However, once you really see it on the ground, it's probably a bit smaller than that. However, some areas it could be bigger than that, but generally, as we look at these numbers coming in from the system that we have here, they're usually smaller once you see them on the ground. Now, down towards Batesburg, Leesville, that's the area that we've been watching. Certainly, that area right along I-20, if you were heading all the way down to Augusta, New Ellington, terrible place to be on I-20. Look at all the heavy rain that's moving in. Also, behind this, behind the severe part, look at this, there's more. McCormick County, heading right over the Savannah River, heading into Augusta. This is all shifting to the east. That means we're not done yet, folks. This is still going to continue. Back to our hail estimates that we talked about. We've been seeing some video of some small hail moving in. And now most of this is giving us an estimate of what the hail could be. So as I try to go ahead here and put it on here for what size hail we could be seeing right now, let's see if we could get that going here for you. The size that you could possibly be seeing in this area could certainly be somewhere about 1.25 inches or so, 1 1/3 inches. So that would give you a decent sized hail ball. That's kind of what we're seeing. Of course, I think that it's about 1 inch in diameter. Kind of shave a little bit off of that, and you're probably looking at 1 inch in diameter hail. That's what we've seen out there. So that would be all the areas, I guess, in the deep blue, kind of a turquoise color. Now, if you look at some areas that we have here, they would be over towards the purple. They would, of course, be a little bit smaller than that. So as we try to query this area as well, hopefully it'll agree with me, but it doesn't want to agree with me today. So we'll clear all that off and we'll go back on here. And the best thing for us to do here is really zoom in so that you can see who unfortunately would have to deal with this. So taking it in closer, if you're in Lexington, the hail core itself is slowly starting to clear out and it's moving beyond you. You still got rain, you still got gusty wind, but that hail center is now starting to move just beyond you and just beyond I-20. So we were looking at another system that was a little up to the north. Lucky for us, that one has gotten a little bit weaker. So how much rain? I actually had a question come in on Facebook. Somebody wanted to know how much rain has fallen so far. A lot. If you know you live in an area that is prone to flooding, you want to certainly be mindful of that. Hopefully you went on and cleaned out those gutters and everything. But we have some areas that are approaching 2 inches of rain out there. Now I want you to make sure you keep your eye on this area up here at the top. And of course, as we start to look in the areas with the purple, just south of Ellington, in Elberton, Georgia, over towards that way, they're approaching the 3-inch mark. So lots of hail coming down, 2 inches in several areas. And you see where that blue is right there? That is the area that had that severe storm on it. So that's right along where that severe storm has been tracking. As it's been tracking through, it is producing a lot of rain. So we're getting close to 3 inches of rain in those areas. Notice this is south of I-26, that is. And so it will be heading into Columbia. So over the next few minutes, as this continues to spread out and expand, wouldn't be surprised if we got close to 3 inches of rain here in and around the city of Columbia. And with that, I'm going to send it back over to Tim. Let's see, Tim, are we getting any new watches and warnings coming in now?
No, we're just under the same severe thunderstorm warning for Calhoun, Lexington, and Richland until 3:15. I want to pass, this is a note from a viewer, Christina Folks. Christina, thank you for giving us this information. She says that the storm that went through near Lexington High School has blew a telephone pole over and blew out some windows where she's at. Again, so this is at near Lexington High School. Christina Folks passing this word on to us this afternoon. Again, a telephone pole down and blew out some windows as well. We understand there's a myriad of them. Let me just set this over here. Power outages, rightfully so. Again, this is our tornado warning for just another 2 more minutes. Frankly, I think that's done. Don't have to worry about that, but this is what we have to worry about now. We have a decent storm over the city of Columbia. So this is the city, and there's already reports of, we have pea-size hail here at the studio, reports of even larger size hail. This is a view, what you're looking at right now, that picture of the car, that's a view outside one of our news trucks, one of our news vehicles. And of course, the person driving is okay. This is a camera that we have mounted. And this is actually, where is this, y'all? Is this at Bull and Gervais Street? It's like it's right outside the studio. So that's the heavy rain that's falling. We've had pea-sized hail, and it's now all over the city. These wind speeds will be gusting up to 60 miles per hour with this particular cell as it moves on through the city. So everybody is going to be involved in this. And one of the things I think it's important for us to realize is that, you know, often we talk about these cold fronts that move through and we have a line of storms and then we're done with it, right? That's not the case with these storms today. They've started earlier this afternoon. We're going to have some quiet times, and then boom, again, we're going to get some more storms. So this is a live view here. West Columbia, Casey, you all have some pretty heavy rain. Reports of hail as just a moments ago, quarter-size hail in parts of West Columbia, Casey. And generally speaking, it's marble-size hail to pea-size hail in parts of the city. Let me pull out here and show you this. Trying to sort of give an idea here how high these storms go in the atmosphere. At one point, they were close to 50,000 feet. That's a supercell storm. When you're talking 50,000 feet in the atmosphere, that's an enormous storm. We don't normally get those type of storms here. Let me show you this current rotation that we've noticed. And by the way, not every storm that has rotation is tornadic in nature. You can have a storm that rotates and not produce a tornado. So that's key to remember that here, but because there's certain characteristics we look at. And although it gives an indication of some really damaging winds here with these storms, I mean, that's going to be the case as they race on through. So not out of it yet. Look at the hail size here, and this sort of moves as the storm moves. So I'll bring it on back here, but some mighty decent sized hail with this storm. So it can certainly be some damaging hail as well. This is a view outside, I guess, of a local neighborhood. My stars, look at the water racing down the street into the storm drains. I mean, that's just an incredible amount of rain here. So we also want to stress that, you know, we have our severe thunderstorm warnings, we had our tornado warnings, we are under a flash flood watch, and this goes until 8 o'clock tonight. And that last shot was a great reason why. I mean, we're going to get a lot of rain from this, and it's not over. We can still have some more supercells develop all the way through the evening, and these storms can produce 2-3 inches of rain each storm, right? So you can get an area that is like 2 inches of rain, and then an hour later, you can get another storm that produces another 2 inches of rain. So that's why I would, at all costs, stay home today. If you have to, if you have to leave work early, and you can, not when it's storming, but when the storm passes, if you scoot on home, do that. Hence, that's a great reason why I think a lot of kids off from school today, at least ending school early, was a great idea. This is a look here now. These are our storms that are racing through now, right? We have showers, some rumble of thunder here, but notice towards the west, these are more storms starting to develop, and mighty strong storms as well. There are more storms to the south developing in Georgia. All of this area here, very, very unstable air. And it's what we call a lot of shear in the atmosphere. That's to where the wind is blowing in one direction of the atmosphere and it's blowing in another. All right, so there's different, basically you can have different types of shear. You can have wind speed shear and directional shear, and we have it both. And that's what we look for when we're talking about severe storms. And there's a lot of it over South Carolina today, more so than I've ever seen in quite a long time. That will help feed these storms, and the potential for us to produce tornadic storms is going to be all the way through the rest of this afternoon, all the way through early evening, and maybe even beyond that. Once there's cold front out towards the west, once the front gets closer towards us, there's been an opportunity later tonight for us to even get more storms with the passage of the front. All right, so we're not out of the woods yet at all of this. This will be going on for the next several hours as these waves of storms move on through. So this is the view here as we're crossing Gervais Street. We're on Bull Street crossing Gervais. Look at the water that splashes up on the car here. And this is right outside the studio. And I don't know whether they're going to turn in or not, but I mean, look at the rain that's coming down here with this. All right, we're continuing to go on towards Senate Street and the like. But again, in the city right now, that is where the heaviest rain is. We have another bulletin that's coming in here as we speak. There's a view from our, another view here. Look at the water that's just piling up here in some of the ravines in some of the areas. Let's see, find out what's going on. Flash flood warning. All right, Vaughn, you want to take it over as we look and see what we have here?
Yeah, sure thing. Something that we're starting to get now, if you guys have me. Of course, that flash flood warning was just sent to us, and that stays in effect until 4:30. That's also in the red color, so to make you think that it's a tornado warning, but it's actually a flash flood warning. Also, still carrying the severe thunderstorm warnings, several of those in place around the area. And the large swath that's covered in the red, remember, that is our tornado watch that will continue until the 8 o'clock hour. That tornado watch is pretty much for most of our counties, including Lexington, Richland County, Lee, Sumter, Kershaw, and Clarendon County. Hopefully, most of you are listening to us from a safe place, hopefully a safe room, safe basement, interior room of your home. So let's get to it as we're looking at the same batch of severe storms literally cutting right across the Midlands now, but moving pretty fast. They have been moving at anywhere from 35 to 55 miles per hour. They've been moving some slower and some faster at times. Just pounding rain as you look at some of the video coming in. Pounding rain from downtown Columbia coming in right now. So all the areas in the orange, those are the severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect. That means the warning means it's happening right now. So if you're watching me from any of these locations, take cover. This is a particularly dangerous situation. You need to be in a safe place right now. I want to go ahead and take you through a few of the storm reports that we're slowly starting to get in. We did have a report of most areas, most folks in Chapin are without power right now in and around the Chapin area, the north side of the lake. So amateur radio operator reports ping pong sized hail, and this is on Main Street in Batesburg, Leesville. And this was about 1:46 this afternoon. Another report came in from Johnston of trees down near First Baptist Church in Johnston. That came in about 1:25. Thunderstorm wind damage also came in Johnston, and trees were down near First Baptist Church as well. Also, these coming in from the Johnston area. Take you in a bit closer to the city now between South Congaree and Casey, Springdale. 68 mile per hour wind gusts reported at the Columbia Metropolitan Airport. So that came in officially. That will go down as an official reading for that 68 mile per hour wind speed. The time of the report is coming in at 2:23, so that just happened. That's from the line that's moving over downtown Columbia right now, so that's also going down as thunderstorm wind damage. So what we have now, lightning. I have the lightning detector on here because lightning has already been reported or blamed for several fires in and around the Atlanta area. Haven't heard of any here, but it could certainly happen with so much lightning on the board. All the areas with the deep red, we're we are watching very heavy rain, gusty wind in these areas, and just add insult to injury when you add in the thunder and the lightning on there. So Carolina Eastman plant, Gaston, notice it's starting to slide now onto the east. So we're starting to pick up some of our eastern viewers now in some of this. If you lose power, remember, you can go ahead and log on in those mobile devices or on Facebook Live. So down towards Red Bank, notice how this continues all the way over into Georgia. If you're near Edgefield, over towards Augusta, Thompson, Georgia, all of these areas dealing with the thunder and intense lightning now. And then even the yellows that you see here, this is even a decent clip of rain that's going on. So all these areas we're still watching. Even if you don't have a warning going on, you need to be mindful of this situation and continue to watch things. So Columbia, Casey, South Congaree, the heaviest batch now actually starting to push just beyond you, but starting to really make a big impact on Fort Jackson, Pontiac, heading into Elgin, and eventually Hopkins, Eastover, and into St. Matthews. And all day long we've been saying if this holds together, it'll get to you. It's holding together. It's going to make it there. It'll be there over the next few minutes. Let's show you the bigger picture now. A huge plume of moisture. This is, of course, what we call a mesoscale convective complex. The entire complex will start to break up once we get into the afternoon, and you'll see more scattered storms in place. But for right now, this is all clustered together. We call this a huge complex of storms. They're continuing to seem like the northern portion of it racing more to the north or northeasterly. But then the storms that are in place for us, they're almost making a due east clip. So that's the area that you see there in the red. And we'll continue to watch it. Look down towards Macon, Georgia. As we look just beyond Atlanta, Atlanta has pretty much been under the gun through the entire day. They've been watching this and they've been dealing with it. So, of course, we're looking at those areas because they've already dealt with this same storm. So we're looking at what they dealt with and kind of things that they had to deal with. That's the reason we can kind of give you ground truth on what's going to happen here and what's really happening. We're seeing it unfold. We are under that high risk of severe weather. The tornado threat is not completely over, even though we do have that tornado warning that has ended. That ended at 2:30. But we're still seeing plenty of severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. And we'll continue to stay on air with you and keep you updated on this because we have several folks in the line of fire of this. And so we want to make sure that we warn you about exactly what's going on. I'm going to hand it back off to Tim here.
Show you this. This is a tornado watch that has now been extended to Clarington, Sumter, Camden, and Lee counties and Fairfield counties. So I took it off there so you can see it. So the tornado watch is moving off towards the east, and and again, as anticipated, because the storms themselves are racing off towards the east at now 35, 45 miles per hour. So behind it is more storms. So we'll zoom into the city here. This is very heavy rain. As Vaughn was showing just a minute ago, we've got some rain here that is 2-3 inches of rain at times reported from some of these particular cells. And again, we're talking wind speeds, some gust up to 60 miles per hour with this cell as it moves through the city. The back end of it is West Columbia and Casey. You've had your fair share of reports of golf ball size hail for you. I'll pull out and show you this. So notice, remember how I said that we'd have these storms that would blow up and then they'd go and then more would come? Notice Batesburg, Leesville, just to your west, here comes more storms. Take a look at this. This is another view here that we're looking at of some yards. Certainly, there's going to be a lot of yards that are flooded as well. There's going to be debris in streets. Certainly, there's going to be a lot of that. But notice you have a decent cell to the south of you, Batesburg, Leesville, but look at this. Here's another one. This is headed your way. I'm not very comfortable with this either. I think there's going to be some opportunities for this. I've seen some rotation of this particular cell here and watching it grow. It's at about 45, 50,000 feet. And I wouldn't be surprised if we rotated storms out of this. So something we'll watch very, very closely, this moving off towards these. So this concerns me because this is headed to Batesburg, Leesville, and then soon to be in Columbia within another hour or so, all right? So again, we'll have these storms, they'll come, they'll go, and more will form. And there's more behind this as well. So zoom in here and closer to show you some of the storm rotation. Now, remember, not every storm that we talk about has rotation is a tornado. So don't want you to think that at all. You can have storms that rotate that don't produce tornadoes. But what we look at is we look for spin in the atmosphere. Are any of these storms spinning? And you can tell right about there. That's just near, there's Casey. That would be not that far from the airport, frankly, the other side of the airport. And then more perhaps rotating areas here in parts of Richland County. So that particular cell there, again, we watch for different indications if they're spinning and if they actually have a vorticity to where they actually could produce a funnel. Don't see that as of yet. This is another view from one of our news cameras that is just on the road here. The camera's sort of like, based up where the rear view mirror is. So the person's driving is not taking this. So I just want to make sure that you know that we always remain safe. We don't want to tell you to be safe, and we're not doing the same thing, right? So notice, you can tell, look at all the flooding on the side of the road. I mean, you're going to have these opportunities for flash flooding really throughout the evening as well as these storms move on through. Look at the hail here with this. I mean, some mighty impressive hail. We get hail from time to time, but maybe it's pea size or marble size. But we've seen everything folks have told us, golf ball size hail to ping pong size hail. That's damaging hail. Not only is that damaging hail, that's deadly hail. So you don't want to be caught in that. That's why at any given point, even though once a storm goes on, there's more storms behind it that could produce hail-producing storms as well. Let me pull out and show you what's going on here with this. Can you see how this is all coming from this direction? There's Florida, that's Alabama, that's Georgia. More storms firing up here. The atmosphere is super unstable, at all levels of the atmosphere, right? That's what we look at. This is the biggest unstable atmosphere I've seen in quite some time. In springtime you get that, but this is a rarity. So we have what we call the jet stream, and that's also helping to force the air to where it's able to, basically the atmosphere tilts. And when it tilts, we're able to get these little spins in the atmosphere that could very easily produce tornadoes. And the atmosphere as such, to where the likelihood for us to get tornadoes is extremely high today. Very unusual for us to be in this type of weather pattern. And you notice more storms here in South Georgia. Those won't affect us, but right about in here, this area here is what we're watching. And I still think that this will be a problem for us, not only for the rest of this afternoon, but at least through early evening. There's a cold front also that's going to be passing by, and then we'll get rid of all this for tomorrow and bring in significantly colder air. But I'm also thinking by the time that front gets here tonight, there could be some more storms that fire up along that front. So that's why I'm saying basically now, all the way through evening and maybe even until tonight, we're going to have to be dealing with this as we'll have these waves of storms that just roll on through. So it's something that, again, is very unusual for us. We don't normally see this, but it's something we need to take very seriously. And you also need to make sure that you have a plan. All right, let's have a plan now what to do if a severe storm hits your home. I've had so many people say, Tim, I've never seen hail hit the house, and it's frightening when you hear it. It hits the window, it hits the roof. I mean, it can give a whole appearance the whole house is caving in. So hail is extremely dangerous. Don't want to be out in it. So by all means, if you can, stay home for the rest of the afternoon through the evening. But do have a plan. Find out what you would do, where you'd go in your house to be safe in the event of a tornado. That would be an interior room, a room with no windows preferably. If you don't have one of those or you don't feel comfortable with that, head into the bathroom. I know that may sound silly, but that is a safe place to be, the bathroom, for a myriad of reasons. Get into the tub, take down the shower curtain, put a towel over your head. If there's even a window in the bathroom and that's the only place you go in there anyway, regardless of the window. And don't worry about opening up windows if there's a tornado for atmosphere or pressure. You don't need to do that at all right? So we're watching this the rest of this afternoon. Vaughn, do you have anything else that you want to share with us, or are we going to head to the news desk for you guys?
Mercer Plank joining you right now. I want to let you know that we've got Harrison Cahill with Lexington County over there. Want to check in with Harrison on the conditions throughout that county. Harrison, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you pretty fine. How are you doing today?
I'm well. Good to talk to you. Bring us up to speed on what is happening throughout Lexington County right now.
Well, what we've seen here in the county is quite a bit of rain. We have had some reports of hail, but most importantly, we are seeing some flooded roadways at this time, primarily Charter Oak at Augusta Highway.
Charter Oak, let me get that one more time. Charter Oak where?
Charter Oak at Augusta Highway. Okay. There seems to be some flooding on that roadway, as well as West Main Street and Ellis Avenue. That came from the Lexington Police Department, as well as some malfunctioning crossing guard arms on South Lake Drive. So what we're asking our citizens to do right now is just to try to stay off the roadways. And if you do see standing water on the roadways, just turn around. Don't try to go through it and find an alternative route.
Okay, so let's give it to our viewers one more time, because these are areas, if they happen to leave their house, if they have to, or their business, we want to tell them to avoid where the water's pooling. You said Charter Oak and Augusta Highway, West Main and Ellis Avenue, and then the malfunctioning arms are where?
At South Lake Drive.
South Lake Drive. Okay, so those would be areas to take extra caution or try to avoid.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so damage-wise, are you seeing anything yet?
So far, I haven't heard of any damage in the county. Of course, wind speeds were getting up there not too long ago, but right now it seems that we have a lull in the storms, and, we're just asking people to drive safely on the roads.
All right, and I know some people are losing power, dealing with that over in Lexington County as well. Harrison, from your days as a newspaper reporter to this, I know you've had to go out and cover this kind of thing before, and one thing that we always tell people is if they can stay within their business or within the walls of their home, that's best. What are folks in Lexington County doing? Because I know, especially the students, they had early dismissal today. Hopefully people aren't out and about. Does it kind of feel like a ghost town there? Give me a feel of what the sensation is there.
Well, it still seems like a normal daily life here in the town of Lexington, which is where the county administration building is located. People are still going about their day relatively normally. We just, again, urge that they drive safely. If you have your windshield wipers on, you should totally have your headlights on as well. So right now it looks pretty normal, and we're going to continue to monitor the storm as it progresses through the day, and that's about all I can say right now.
Harrison, good advice on the headlights. I'm amazed when I came in today and it was pouring rain, how many people, if their lights don't automatically come on, how many forget to turn them on. So that's a good reminder to them. And we're not in the clear yet. As Harrison, our meteorologists have been saying, this is one of the rounds, but there are several more expected. So let's finish out our interview with you, just giving a word of caution to your folks in Lexington County.
Absolutely. Yeah, like we said, we're going to continue to monitor these storms throughout the day. The county administration and government offices have been closed for the remainder of the day. We close at about 2 p.m. So we're going to continue that closure. We're going to continue to monitor these storms as they roll through. And again, just a word of caution is all we can say to our viewers at home that live here in the county and, elsewhere in the Midlands. If you don't have to leave your home, don't do it. If you see standing water, turn around, don't drown. If you have your windshield wipers on, make sure you have your headlights on.
Okay, Harrison Cahill, the PIO for Lexington County. Great to talk to you as always, and thanks for that information from Lexington County. We'll check in with you again later.
Y'all stay safe.
You as well. Thank you. All right, we want to go to Newberry County and see some of the things happening there. Allie Spilliards is surveying that area to see how they're faring. Allie?
Hey everyone, we're in Newberry County right now. We've been watching the situation here, and we were actually over at the 911 center earlier when that first thunderstorm warning came through. It was originally until 1:30 for everyone in this area. Now it's been extended to 2:30. We're also under a tornado watch until 8. But I can tell you for right now, things here are looking a little clearer. I'm gonna flip you, well, I can't flip you around, but I can come show you what we're looking at here. Mostly just some puddling in the roads. We did get a really heavy downpour for a bit. I heard some people near Newberry College saying that it actually sounded like possibly some hail. We haven't had any reports of that, but we are in touch with the sheriff's office, keeping up with what they're hearing, and so far just a few areas of standing water, but especially after that storm passed through Union County, causing a lot of damage near Whitmire. I know people are very nervous, but just stay tuned and we will keep you updated as soon as we have any new information about what's going on here.
Thank you so much. We need to go right back to our meteorologist. Tim Miller has a new tornado warning that has just been issued. Tim?
Donnie, this is for Richland County. Here it is, a tornado warning in effect till 3:30 for this area here, Hopkins and Eastover. Again, this is a tornado warning. This means that a tornado has been spotted by radar and has issued a tornado warning. Again, if Hopkins would be in this is eastern Richland County and in the Eastover. So it's this little sliver here of Richland County, not the entire county now, just this little area here. So give you an idea of, do you live in this area here? If you can pinpoint, know exactly, there's the Fort, there's Hopkins, there's Eastover. Again, and that's until 3:30. Let's zoom in here. And my feeling is it's this particular cell right in here. That's the question. To me, that would be the tornadic view. It's that little curved where we have the winds whooshing into the storm here, and then you develop a spin. So my feeling, that's where the tornadic storm would be, and that's smack dab over Hopkins. This is racing off towards the east, so there's Horror Hill, there's McIntyre, there's Eastover. So as this continues to move off towards the east, Eastover, you'd be under the gun here with that in just a little bit. And Horror Hill, you're not out of the gun either. This here, I would surmise, is some pretty damaging winds with this, and also surmise there's some mighty big hail in this particular cell here. But look at that. That's my fear here, is that would be the tornadic cell as it's racing off towards the east. So once again, I'll show you the tornado warning area. This is the warning area. Notice how it's just a little sliver. I mean, that today, now we can pinpoint pretty much where this is. So Eastover, I would imagine it's going to be it's the next 10, 15 minutes, that particular cell, or if not sooner, will be over you. But right now it's over Hopkins. Take cover immediately. If you are in the Hopkins area and viewing this right now, leave the television and head for safety. All right, so here is that particular cell right in there. All right, again, that is racing off towards the east at some 50 miles per hour. Again, that tornado warning in effect till 3:30 for that particular area. Once you get past Eastover, it's done. So again, that particular cell is the one that we're concerned about, where that has a tornadic probability at this point. All right, so that's the latest. Now I want to go back here and show you a couple things. Let me get out of the way and just show you a broader perspective of what we're looking at. Again, that's that tornadic cell, and I'm going to sort of zoom out here to show you the wider view here. And yeah, look at that. I mean, that's the thing that I'm most concerned about here, is right in here. Whenever we have that, what a potential is to be like a little hook in the atmosphere, that's where we have winds that conceivably are tornadic in nature and actually can have a tornadic cell. I'll put it into a looping mode here. You can see, man, that's just impressive. Let's go further out, and I'll show you this. Notice we have more storms blowing up here. This is Edgefield and Saluda. I'll put it in the now view here. This is our high-res radar. So Batesburg, Leesville, remember you had your storms? Guess what? There's more coming, as promised. So we have decent cells south of you. There's more over Edgefield. This is racing off towards the east-northeast. So once again, it'll be Batesburg. And before too long, Lexington, Gilbert, and once again, these two will be in the city before too long. But right now, it's this particular area here of Hopkins. And now notice how it's moved off towards the east. So McIntyre, this is headed towards you, Eastover. This will be the cell that we're most concerned about, hence to have our tornado warning. There's our tornado warning once again. It's right here until 3:30 for this little sliver of Richland County. Notice it's not the whole county. It's this particular area here. I wonder if I can zoom in a little bit closer, give you an idea with some roads here with this. So there it is. That's a great indication. The red that you see is that tornado warning. So that's Highway 378, as if you're headed towards Sumter. There's South Carolina 76, Highway 378. There's 601. There's 48. Give you an idea what we're looking at there as far as some of the roadways, what we're talking about. So if you're in that particular area, that's sort of a rural area of Richland County, by all means take cover immediately. Vaughn, are you looking at anything that we could shoot your way?
Absolutely. We could go ahead and move on back over here to our velocity. Of course, when you look at the velocity, sometimes you'll see us showing the red and the green. It's when wind is moving towards or away from the radar. But the big thing is it takes out the storm motion when you're looking at the storm relative, the base velocity. The storm relative velocity also puts in the storm motion along with the wind speeds in there. So pretty complicated, but basically you want to look inside that storm to figure out what those winds are doing. And as we look at this, that tornado warning is right over Hopkins. So if you're watching us from that area, you certainly need to make sure you take cover. But look at where the sign is for 48. I want you to look at that area pretty closely. So I advance it here. And we go back to our velocity. Look at how you see that very high velocity there that's in place just south of Hopkins, that same area where we're seeing not a very tight couplet, but we do possibly have some rotation in there. It's that same area. We continue to see almost that red starting to show up to a white color. It's not a tight couplet. It appears to be a very broad area of rotation, but it is certainly in that area. So we're going to continue to watch that area because that tornado warning continues for us. So we'll be watching that. But I also want to go ahead and show you, as we're looking at that area, we could go ahead and closer and look at the lightning that's also in there. Also, we have the lightning. So as we look up towards the top end of that storm, towards Camden, Rembert, all of these areas now dealing with the very heavy rain and the gusty wind. In addition to that, areas near Fort Jackson, Laurel Hill, this is where we're possibly seeing that tornado at this hour. And if you kind of see that inflow notch, it doesn't really mean a lot to you, but that's just the area that's literally pulling in that warm, moist, unstable air. Dew points at this point extremely high. That's literally like fuel for the fire. So dew points in that area probably around 70. That's extremely high. That's exactly what a severe storm would like. That works perfectly for severe weather. And guess what? It's even higher as we go down to the south of where we are. You can see some really, really high dew points in and around that area. And that's the section that's moving in out of Georgia, and it'll continue to lift into South Carolina here over the next few minutes. Something that we haven't really talked about, a few other parameters here. If you're driving in Lexington, Saluda, your visibility is reduced. If you're driving through this heavy rain, less than a quarter-mile visibility in place for you in those areas. So those are the areas that you need to certainly be mindful. Hopefully you're just not driving. So what about wind speeds? We haven't seen a whole lot on wind speeds and wind gusts. Want to go ahead and get you caught up on those right now. So far, I've seen the highest wind gusts now coming in from the Lexington County area. Remember earlier, we showed you that there was a 68-mile-per-hour wind gust that was reported at the airport. We're now seeing coming in from our system at least an 18-mile-per-hour wind gust in that area. 21 in Newberry, 22 there in Saluda, and about 22 also in Aiken. Notice the wind in that section coming in out of the north, and this is where that big storm system is now, about 13 miles per hour for you, Lexington. Certainly not 5 in Columbia. These are the sustained wind speeds right now, just not picking up those extremely high numbers in terms of wind gusts. So we're back on our dew points. All of the areas wherever you have a dew point more than 55 or so, that is extremely humid. That is air that's perfect to fuel severe storms. Notice north, Orangeburg, near 70-degree dew points, and then you see the deeper green down near Georgia. This is all going to continue to lift up to the north. So parameters that you look at when you're forecasting a storm. I want to just quickly show you our 3D radar. I know it doesn't really look like much to you, probably looks like a bunch of mountains, but you see the red area that's here. This is our 3D radar, just giving us an indication that the stronger storms or that severe line is much higher and reaching higher in the atmosphere than some of the storms that you see back behind it. They're not coming up severe. So you can see how much higher these storm tops are for the storms that have gone severe, even the ones that are starting to bow out in front of it over towards Bowman. Not severe, but the thing about those storms is they get that really warm, moist air. It's uninhibited. No one else has basically touched this air, so they get that ripe, warm, moist air, and they get it out ahead of that. So that's why it's not out of the question to, even though we have the biggest storm system back here, some of those storm systems that are coming up from the south, they're getting that ripe, moist air that's perfect for strong storm development. So I'll be watching those areas as well. Now back to our tornado warning. Again, we're watching this area. Again, you see that the green area is moving towards the radar. The red is away. And so as we look at this lighter pink in here, if it was all a deeper red, we would have an indication that we're not really seeing anything. It's pretty much normal and standard. I do believe there is a wide or a broad circulation. Notice we just got that update. And so we're not seeing a tight couplet here. Not necessarily a tight couplet, but there is some sort of rotation coming in there. So that's the area that we'll be watching for, that possibility of seeing rotation in that storm. So that tornado warning continues for us. Lightning, still a heavy presence in and around that area that is severe right now. So here's our lightning tracker that's on here. All of those areas taking you in closer now. Getting a lot of comments on Facebook about particular areas. So I want to make sure that we go in a bit closer there. So Camden, we haven't talked a whole lot about your area, but you are seeing some heavy rain. The wind's starting to now inch on up into you and eventually on over into North Carolina, into the border that way. And then as we look a bit more to the south, that's where that severe storm is. Look at all the lightning that it's detecting. Detecting plenty of lightning, very high reflectivity. As we look at some of the video, you can see how some of the water is starting to pool on the roads. Of course, we're starting to approach 3 inches of rain in some of these areas. So it's not out of the question for us to see some localized flooding in some of these areas. Of course, with gusty wind, it's not out of the question to lose a couple tree branches here and there as well. Last time I checked in with the desk, I guess they had about 1,000 power outages in Lexington County and about 1,300 in Edgefield County, Sam, if I'm correct on that. So yeah, it was something like that. County's about 1,000 outages or so, not out of the question, probably from a tree limb or two that's down, because with the gusty wind, with the lightning, that's certainly not out of the question. Earlier on, I also heard about some fires being started because of lightning in the Atlanta area once we got the onslaught of the severe storms in the south. So the bigger picture shows this will continue. You see how we still see the showers and strong storms beginning to move out of Georgia and into South Carolina? Well, this will be a continuation for us into the afternoon hours. I guess we've been on now well over an hour or so, and we've been seeing the same thing. And a lot of times we like to say, well, if the storm holds together, it'll make it into your neighborhood. Based on what we're seeing now, it will hold together. We're in a rare situation where we have a high risk of severe storms. Rarely do you see this. The last time we saw this, we did have a strong EF2 tornado that hit in Branchville. That was in 2008. And I think that was about March 15th or so in 2008. Look at I-20 now, a terrible place to be, from Red Bank all the way down. If we're trying to get to Batesburg, Leesville, or perhaps down to Aiken, that area is going to be a mess. We are looking at very, very high reflectivity there, which means there's a lot of wind, there's a lot of rain, and possibly even some small hail that's showing up in there. We got any updates coming in from the desk? Any other storm reports? Yeah.
Law enforcement in reporting a tornado in Saluda near Aiken County.
Okay, quite possibly, quite possibly. If you remember, earlier on, we were, actually I can't do that right now, but earlier on, Saluda County was one of the first counties that we saw that storm system started to move through, and that's when they invoked that tornado warning. That was the first one of the day. I guess that came in about 1 o'clock, so not surprised that they would possibly be seeing some damage there. What I also have here coming into my system, what we call local storm reports. So if law enforcement reports, yeah, it's showing up on my system too, by the way, guys. Here it is. As we look at that, it's showing up right there, the possibility of a tornado in there from the local storm reports. So you see that red area showing us that funnel cloud? Well, yeah, it's showing us that is the possibility of that tornado. Hail been reported north of Batesburg, Leesville, and then thunderstorm wind damage also reported in parts of Saluda. I think we were on air when that was going on, so that's something I'm not really surprised to see happen, because I'm sure they're getting several reports of thunderstorm wind damage. And of course, when you look at the certain damage pattern, that would tell you exactly whether or not you have seen a tornado. So this is coming in from Monetta. Probably near the Big Mo out there. A tornado possible. Aiken County, the sheriff has reported this, and that's in Monetta, and there are several trees down. This all came in at 1:35. I think that's about when we first got started here this afternoon, right, guys? I guess we were on air at that time. But in addition to that, that area also seeing several reports of thunderstorm wind damage. We're still in first alert mode. We're still watching this tornado warning as it continues over near Hopkins. Is that still going on, folks? Are we still getting any damage reports from that area yet out in Richland County? See if we can get some new information. Okay.
Yeah, while you're doing that, let's go back to our tornado warning. We still have a tornado warning that's in effect until 3:30 for this little sliver of Richland County, to give you an idea of what we're looking at as far as there's a base velocity that we often look at. Let's get to our radar here, and I'll show you in our Max 2, and I'll show you this. This is our tornado warning here against that little sliver for Richland County, and it's moving now more towards the east. So Hopkins, you're out of it, but now it's more towards that little sliver there. So east over, you'd be under the gun with that particular cell. All of this is moving very rapidly. This is new storms now developing. This is Aiken County. This is western Lexington. There's Saluda. And here we go. I mean, this is another round here. Damaging winds clearly up to 50+ miles per hour. I'd imagine there's more hail in this. We'll have to watch this for rotation. I've noticed with some of these storms here, I did a 3D split a little while ago. They're getting up to 40,000 feet or so. So we'll have to wait and see how that's pretty impressive storms, no matter how you slice that particular storm. Here's the storm, though, for there's Horrell Hill, there's McIntyre, there's Eastover. So Eastover, you are right on the cusp. I would imagine that line right there, that particular cell, has some mighty gusty winds. And this is a view from, you can tell some video that's sent from us from like an apartment complex area to where just, by the way, thank you for taking pictures. By the way, if you take pictures or videos, please do it safely. There's somebody sending us some hail In Batesburg, that is clearly, boy, that's a great picture of the hail. My, oh my, mighty big hail. And don't forget, hail starts out as a raindrop, right? And then it's thrown in the atmosphere again and again and again. The winds of the atmosphere, that's why that rotation, so it turns it until it gets too heavy and it drops and falls as hail. So that's a mighty impressive hail for sure. So that means there's some certainly violent winds. Looks like some barriers knocked down in that particular view there, as we have crews all over the place giving us the latest information. But here's radar, and that is our situation over Eastover. All of this red that you see here, yeah, it's very heavy rain, but it's also gusty winds up to 50+ miles per hour. So Leesburg, you're in for it for the next few minutes. Fort Jackson, you've been under first alert for a while. First alert for McIntyre. First alert for Eastover. Again, all of this is racing off towards the east. So Sumter, you are under first alert. You're next with this particular cell here. And there it is. The city now has some light to moderate rain. I'll pull out and show you. Here's what I'm talking about. Sumter by 3:37. This is why I say first alert for you at Shaw Air Force Base. Be prepared for the base to be hit with some mighty big storms and potential of hail too. Folks at the base take the precautions necessary. And then there's Sumter in the line here as this races off towards the east. And notice this particular cell here hasn't died down. It's the same storm that was in Batesburg, that went through Batesburg, Lexington, into Columbia. And it's as red now as it was back an hour plus ago. So this is like it's not losing any of its juice here. So that's something we need to really pay attention to. Look at the hail in this particular storm here. Mighty, mighty impressive. Again, we saw some, what looked like to me, maybe ping pong size hail in Batesburg. Clearly, this particular cell that's soon to be in Eastover, or into Eastover, has at least ping pong size hail with this. That's impressive hail. That is look at that stop. Can you all see that stop sign, that picture of the rain there on the right? Look at the water on that. Anybody know where is that at, y'all? Anybody have a clue? It's hard to see. The lot, is that Rocky Branch and Whaley? Okay. They have that blocked off. Look at that. That's Rocky Branch and Whaley Street. Is that right? So we'll find out exactly, but there's Columbia Police are there, so making sure nobody's in there. This flooding is also going to be an issue, and that's one thing I want to stress with these storms. We've talked about the hail, we've talked about the wind, and the tornado possibility with this, but these storms will produce some mighty heavy rain, anywhere from 2 to 3 inches. Not out of the question with this. And mind you, there's more coming. So that's Whaley Street now. We can have another storm in the next hour or two that goes over Whaley Street again. That could produce another 1 or 2 inches of rain. So flash flooding is going to be a big issue, not only for the city, but all over the place, those areas that typically flood. And we're very sensitive to that, obviously, compared to our event that happened in October 2015. So anytime we talk about flooding rain, it's a sensitive subject around here. So by all means, please be careful. I want to take you to Aiken now. This is, again, the particular cell I showed you a moment ago from Aiken. That is a decent hail-producing storm. So there's Wagner. That's racing off towards the east, northeast. So soon that, too, will be in Lexington County with another hail-producing storm. So what are we talking about? What is the timeline? What can we expect? From now all the way through early evening, at least till about 8, 9 o'clock, I think, with the heaviest, and then more scattered about until about 11 o'clock, we can expect the following. It's going to be some very heavy rain, flash flooding rain, no doubt about it. Large hail is almost to the high category. Damaging winds, I have that at the high category. I think we're going to get a lot of damaging winds with these storms that roll on through. And our tornado risk is the highest I've ever put it in all the years here. This is now at a high risk for us still to receive storms that produce tornadic storms over the next several hours. All right, so again, those are the storm risk. And again, I think flooding is also another huge issue. Look at that. Is that hail that's piled up there in the corner? You bet. Man, look at that. That's really impressive. This particular view that someone sent us. Wow. I've had a report, someone said that hail's hit their kitchen window, cracked it in half. So again, that's how powerful the hail is. You don't want to be out involved in this at all. So by all means, stay home for the rest of this afternoon and through this evening. Those are our storm risk. Again, it's all the way through evening. This will be an event that's going on now, and it'll be happening all the way through the evening as we have these waves of storms that move on through. Vaughn, you have some interesting information about what to do in case of a tornado.
Absolutely. That's something that you never want to forget. As of right now, the first thing that I can tell you with this situation going on, if I call out your county and your county is under a tornado warning, that means you are not safe in a mobile home. It's important for you to remember a mobile home is not a safe place to be during a tornado. I don't care if it's a wind zone 2. I don't care if you've had the underpinning done. It's still not a safe place to be during a tornado. So a safe place to be is in the basement of a sturdy home. You want to be in the basement. You want to make sure, if not in a basement, you're in an interior room. That is the safest place to be when there is a tornado. So look at this particular house. You see all the outside edges, walls and windows, but you find your way all the way into that interior section, probably going to be a bathroom. You want to get into that bathtub and you want to cover your head properly so that you are protected from the possibility of anything, perhaps just some shingles blowing off the house. But you want to still be in that interior room so that you are protected. And also make sure that you're away from doors and windows. That high risk still in effect for us. This is the reason that we're on with you folks. Rarely do we see a situation like this. And the Storms Prediction Center issued this. We didn't issue this. The Weather Service didn't issue this. The Storm Prediction Center issued this, which says that they are kind of the governing body of the storms, and that's the reason that we're on with you today, letting you know. The tornado warning continues, and that will continue for us until 3:30. We're at about 3:12, so we still have a bit more to go, but it is covering parts of Eastover, just outside of Hopkins now. In addition to all the severe thunderstorm warnings that we also have a tornado watch that's in effect. For most of our counties, it will continue to 8 until 8 o'clock, and as you hear that bell going off there, that's just another warning that has been issued. This is an ongoing situation. Want to get you caught up on a few other parameters before we go and look at our radar. The visibility. If you're out and about driving in this, I'm sure you can barely see anything. We do have the visibility down to a quarter mile or less in several areas. Also, extremely gusty wind in place for us. We've had wind gusts reported of 68 miles per hour coming in from the airport. That was just about an hour or so ago. But right now we're reporting a 21 mile per hour wind gust in Saluda, 22 for you in Aiken, 16 in Newberry. And you see that area that has popped up just outside of Columbia. This is an extremely high wind gust, 39 St. Matthews, so probably even higher than that as we look north of St. Matthews. But this is, of course, outside of Columbia, right over where we're tracking that tornado warning as we speak. Now, sustained wind, of course, if you're not underneath a thunderstorm right now, you're probably seeing anywhere from 3 to 15 mile per hour winds. So far today, we've had several reports of tree damage, thunderstorm wind damage, and now we have had a report of a tornado in Monetta. However, that tornado can't be confirmed until we get the National Weather Service out there. Probably once all this clears out tomorrow morning, they'll get out there and survey that damage. Also, this is the wind report that we had of the 68 mile per hour wind that was in and around the airport. So still looking at all the reflectivity, showers and storms continuing. If you're out and about, you want to make sure you get to a safe place. Want to make sure I show you the lightning tracker and the lightning detector on here. Plenty of lightning going on. South of Columbia, this is the area that is coming up severe right now. Eastover, look at all the lightning that you're seeing. Let's go up to the top section. Now, not a whole lot of severe warnings coming out for you if you're in Kershaw County and northward. We haven't seen a lot for you. Most of it has been centered a little more to the south, but still, if you're heading up 521 through Rembert, heading over into Sumter County, your turn is coming. It's headed your way. Plenty of rainfall at Fort Jackson, Horal Hill, Hopkins. That severe sector is starting to move just beyond Leesburg Road. Look at all of this. It continues to show the lightning moving into Carolina Eastman, Gaston, South Congaree. All of you now under the gun with the rain. I want to also go ahead and point out something that's interesting to us. Folks who are in Orangeburg, they have yet to see any rainfall. The storms are really just getting coming in from these areas over towards Wagner. You're seeing a good, healthy amount of rain coming down as well. And then behind it, we have another round because this is actually going to be the leading edge of the storms. But then behind it, we have widespread rain, pretty much a cluster that we would call a complex right now. So what I would like to do, if we can quickly have the opportunity to do this, since it looks like we're going to be on for a little bit more. I can't get my clicker to work here, but if we're going to be on for a little more, I'm going to go ahead and put a storm tracker on there so you can see how fast these are moving. Notice the entire cluster now starting to break up just a bit. Notice that top end moving into the upstate, headed towards Charlotte. That's more of just widespread rain. We're getting the severe portion of that leading edge, that squall line, now starting to move Richland, Lexington County, heading into Orangeburg, heading into parts of Calhoun County, heading into Sumter County, and over into the PD, Florence, and Darlington counties as well. So this is your widespread view of it. And you again start to see the system breaking off, starting to separate just a bit. So the complex of just rain will lift to the north, while we'll see the severe storms continue to make a beeline for the low country here over the next few minutes. So we'll continue to track this here. We're looking at our high resolution radar, and then notice we will continue to see that severe thunderstorm warning. Sumter County. Oh, this is new. Sumter County, you're in this now. Lee County, you have that in there as well. Parts of Lee, Sumter, and Richland County. And Tim, you can take it away. You have more on that?
Yeah, I do. In fact, that's brand new information. Let me share this with y'all. This just in from our Lexington Police. There's an accident involving 3 vehicles at Augusta Road, that's near Cedar Crest Drive, and has all outbound traffic just at a standstill, if not even closed. So once again, that's Augusta Road near Cedar Crest Drive, as that activity has caused the road to be closed at this point. Again, that's Augusta Road. There goes, and that's going to be happening, all afternoon long. You're going to hear the little alarm go off, and whenever you do that, by the way, hear the alarm go off. I don't want you, don't panic, don't get upset at some of that information coming to us, and what we do is we'll disseminate it and get it on to you. So you'll probably hear that alarm go off, but I don't want you to get nervous or excited. What we need to do, of course, is to remain calm at all times and just be prepared for us to have a stormy condition. That's exactly the way it is. The tornado watch is still in effect till 8 o'clock, and it has now been expanded further towards the east. It's now really for the rest of the state, towards the PD and the Grand Strand and into North Carolina as well. But this is the latest severe thunderstorm warning. It is in effect for, as we move off towards the east, in effect for Lee, the eastern half of Richland County and Sumter County, and then of course Lee County as well. So again, that's that severe thunderstorm warning. The sort of the red area you see is our tornado watch that goes on. Let's show you radar, and I want to show you this. This is a view here of more storms that have moving on through, and these are again moving just as quick at about 35-40 miles per hour here with this. Notice this from Pelion to Gaston. All the areas that received heavy storms earlier are now under the gun here for some more storms. The problem is, we've talked about hail, we've talked about the possibility of tornadoes, but one of the things that I think that we have not really stressed, and I want to start stressing right now, is the potential of flooding rain with this. We've had we have what we call training effect, to where these storms are going over the same area, like a railroad track. The train just keeps on coming, and these storms are going over the same area again. So my concern is areas that typically flood, they're already flooding. The areas that don't typically flood are going to have issues quick tonight, as these storms will continue to form. And they've been forming now and raining over the same area for hours on end as these storms continue to pop. So I'm really concerned about flooding. So by all means, please be careful. If you don't have to be out tonight and the rest of the afternoon, stay in here with us. We'll keep you posted. Stay home. Don't be out on the roads. But areas that flood, I'm really concerned about this. Yeah, Nicole, thank you for that. That's exactly right. I mean, you're going to come up to areas, and we've said this a lot, don't we? Areas that look like, hey, I can just drive through it, and sure enough, you're up to way past the wheel well, and the car's taken away. So try to avoid any area that you may think you can go through it. If you have any doubt, err on the side of safety. So here we have it. Let's get to radar full view if we can here, and I'll show you these storms are continuing to race off towards the east-northeast, 35 miles per hour. So more storms in Aiken County, soon to be in Lexington. These two will be over the city of Columbia here in a matter of just a little while, and they'll continue to move off towards the east. I'll zoom in here a little bit closer. Don't see any rotation with these particular cells, and which is certainly good news, but that doesn't mean we can't get rotation, because it can happen very quickly. And one of the things that I've noticed is that there's even more storms way past in Georgia that have the opportunity to be forming, that'll be here again as we get later on through the evening and through tonight. So there's Aiken. There's I-20, and again, it's the same area that's hit by rain. So Lexington County, Pelion, remember those storms a little while ago? Guess what? You have more coming. And inside these storms are not only some heavy rain, but some damaging winds. Look at this. There's Coral Hill. There's McIntyre. Eastover, you have your tornado warning for another 10 minutes. But the worst is now just towards the east of you. So there's 601. There's 263. That's moving off towards the east. So again, you'll have a little bit of lull. And by the way, whenever we have these little lulls or periods where we don't have any rain, it's not over. There's hours left of us having to deal with on this. So that continues to move off towards the east. Look at that view there, that particular flooded area there. That's near Whaley Street, from what I understand. And that indeed in itself is causing issues. That area floods to begin with, but when you have issues to where you have this much water over this period of time, it's going to continue to be just really a dicey situation. I want to get to the big map here, and I'll show you the satellite and radar loop here. And this really tells a very interesting story of what's to come. Notice as we have these storms out in Georgia, and I'll give you sort of a broad perspective here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer. We have a couple things happening here. And real quick.
Well, you're
Go ahead, yeah, Donnie, you have something you want to show us?
Yeah, let me just give a couple highlights. I know your microphone, you lost it there. While you're getting that back on, let me just give you a couple highlights of some of the things happening around the town. A lot of people on social media saying the Darius Rucker concert is tonight. USC students a little confused because classes were let out today because of the weather. At this point, the concert is still on this evening at the CLA, Colonial Life Arena. If they cancel that, we will be sure to let you know. But at this point, it is still on. Darius Rucker is planning to perform this evening for you still. Shaw Air Force Base reporting, as you guys have been talking about the tornado sirens going off there, mentioned that collision. This was involving 3 cars on Augusta Road in Lexington County, and they are asking you to find an alternate route because traffic's starting to get backed up there. So specifically, that's at Augusta Road near Cedar Crest Drive, outbound, again in Lexington. Main and Whaley, we're being told, is like a river. And we're going to check on more of that 5-point stuff in just 2 seconds here. Checking out possible structure fire in Kershaw County, fully involved, a propane tank exposed. And so we're going to follow up on that. But just an FYI, if you're in that area of Duck Cove Lane, just be aware of that warning. Cars stranded in flooded roadways at Pickens and Taylor specifically, that was mentioned earlier. The driver is okay, but they are saying that road is fully blocked. So do not try to travel that roadway at Pickens and Taylor. This is Whaley Street, that Main and Whaley that always floods when we have a difficult time. And also in 5 Points, the Chick-fil-A, it's located on Hardin Street. They just closed their doors, so no Chick-fil-A for you for the rest of the evening tonight. Let's check in with our Chad Mills. He is in Columbia's 5 Points. Chad, I know you were there yesterday talking to business owners, specifically an ophthalmologist who has her shop there, and she just, every time there's any kind of heavy rain, she deals with it. I can only imagine what she's dealing with right now.
Well, Dondi, her shop is doing good. If you pan over that way, you can see it. 20/20 vision. It's pretty high and dry at this moment, but behind me, we're actually standing behind Columbia Police Department right now. They have Blossom Street blocked off. If you walk over this way, I can show you what we have seen here in 5 Points time and time again. Water on Blossom Street. You can see that person just jumped through that big puddle right there. We're kind of in a lull right now, but you can see that the water is still standing here in 5 Points, at least a couple inches of water. If you look toward those utility poles, you can see just how deep it is, with this portion right next to TD Bank in between Walgreens blocked off at this point. If we walk over toward Walgreens, another common spot for flooding here in 5 Points. It looks like they possibly have some flooding. Their workers are standing in the doorway right now. We're in about, I'd say, an inch or two of water going up to the door, but if you kind of have a view around this pillar here, you can see they put up what looks like a makeshift dam. Some of the employees in there laughing at the sight of WIS out here, but it looks like they're doing okay inside the store, but they are waiting for possibly more rain that could be coming. Again, a very familiar sight here in 5 Points. They're hoping that hopefully this will be the worst of it, but again, we have more weather on the way. Donnie.
All right, thank you so much. Finding out from our Allie Spilliards out in the field in Saluda that Emergency Management Division reporting that there is a barn in Saluda that has gone down, and a silo, also a tree on a house. There are going to be several of those. She's reporting that it's mostly the Ward, Ridge Spring, and Minetta areas, so we're going to check in with her. Also, we want to let you know that we are finding out that there's going to be a shelter open at Saluda High School. Again, our Alice Billiards in that Saluda area, shelter open for any of you who might need it as more rounds of the storm continue throughout the evening. That's at Saluda High School. And but again, some damage, significant damage with a barn and a silo going down there as well. Blossom and Hardin Street, that would be going, it says toward Colonial Life, the road closure there. And we will continue to get more on that. I want to go back to our meteorologist. Tim, I know you were having a microphone problem, but I don't see him. Let's.
Yes.
Yeah, we have West Columbia road closures. Do we have an actual list to give people? Okay, here they are. Highway 378 at 12th Street, Cleckley Drive, Hummingbird Drive, Cofield Drive at Terrace View Drive, Carpenter Street at Court Avenue. Those roads are closed. And remember, a lot of these places, State Street as well, Alexander Road at Riverwalk Circle, that's because they are so flooded, but there are several roads that are not closed, but you'll be driving along and hit a pocket of water. And so they're just saying, if you don't have to drive, not to. And again, with more rain expected, that's going to have a hard time draining off right now. Okay, so Tim Miller, do you have an update from me on where we are right now with the rain? Because I know over the studios right now in downtown Columbia, things seem to have calmed a tad bit, but that could just be the next calm before the next storm.
Yeah, it is the calm before the next storm. I want to show you this, and we're going to get to some rain totals. And I think one of the things that we've talked about is, haven't really stressed, is the rain here, because obviously tornadoes, we have had a lot of hail, but the rain is the big issue. We have some flooding conditions now all across the Midlands, and there's a lot more rain coming. Check out these wind speeds. This is interesting. This tells a very interesting story here, and I want to show you this. We have wind speeds. We can take this full for just a minute again real quick. Look at that particular area there. You have winds in Sumter coming from the north at 24 miles per hour, but in Manning, you have them coming from the south. Look at that. Then you have direct north, and then you have, looks like a northwest wind here. But in Aiken, you have winds coming from the northwest. So this is what we're talking about. When you have all these directions of winds, and these are surface winds, when you go in the upper atmosphere, it gets even more chaotic. This is why we're really concerned, and I think rightfully so, for our potential for tornadic storms to continue, not only the rest this afternoon, but this evening. So this is some of the things we look for when you have what we call shear in the atmosphere. Although these are surface winds, it's just as worse, if not even worse, when you get into the upper layers of the atmosphere. And that's what we're watching. And I think this is going to be a situation we're going to have to monitor for at least the next 5 hours or so. I want to show you some of the watches now at this point. These are you see there in sort of like the yellow hue. That is those are the severe thunderstorm warnings that are currently peppered about the Midlands. You see the red shaded area is a tornado watch. So all the counties that are listed or seen here in the red are under tornado watch until 8 o'clock tonight. All right, and they may continue that further as we get on here, but till 8 o'clock tonight, so we have several hours to go before everything is said and done. So the tornado watch is pretty much for the entire viewing area, and the areas there in sort of the yellow shade you see are severe thunderstorm warnings that are still in effect. Don, to ask about some of the rain, this is a view from our high-res radar, and what you'll notice here with this is that the rain continues to fall over the same area over and over again. From earlier this afternoon that we've had our rainstorms, look at this, there's more coming, and notice it's over the same area here. So what we call a training effect. It's like a railroad track, and the train just keeps going over the track. So areas that have had flooding rain over the last several hours are going to continue to see that as these storms continue to move off towards the east. Further towards the west, more storms are even forming in parts of Georgia that will be moving our way. I want to show you a quick perspective here of what we're looking at, and this gives you an idea of the amount of the vast area that this severe weather is taking up here. It's a lot of real estate, and I'll show you what I'm thinking here is we have this area here in parts of Alabama where we still have all this instability. We have to get through all of this before everything's said and done. So my feeling is, and the problem is also, it's very humid, dew points are high, and the atmosphere is like really thick and juicy. and ripe for storm development. And then you add some sunshine that started to pop here in parts of Alabama and now Georgia with some of the clearing skies. That just adds to the instability. So these storms will continue to fire up, and the thinking is they'll continue to move off towards the east, and we've got to get through all of this. So that's why the tornado watch certainly goes to 8 o'clock. They may extend that, but 8 o'clock seems reasonable enough. So it's, what, 3:30 now? Tornado warning has expired for Richland County, but we're not out of the woods yet. My feeling is at least until 8 o'clock, until we're done with all of this. So there's going to be hours and hours of waves of particular storms that will contain very heavy rain, perhaps 2-3 inches of rain continuing out of this over the next several hours. Wind speeds can gust up to 70 miles per hour with these storms, and of course the potential for hail as well. Speaking of hail, let me quickly give you an update as far as the hail is concerned. This is live now, this particular cell here. Notice there's Highway 378 just now over Shaw, some light hail, and a really decent hail core over 378 moving into Sumter. So Sumter, expect to get at least marble-sized to golf ball-sized hail possible in the next hour or so. Dondi?
All right, so in Lexington County, we are hearing that there are evacuations underway on Ridge Street. For what I have here pulled up on the map, Reed Street, excuse me, so Reed Street, R-E-E-D, Reed Street at this point. We're going to get a better locator for you to tell you exactly where that is. But we are hearing evacuations there on Reed Street in Lexington, and that is the latest there. And Dondi, I know we are making calls on that fully involved fire.
In Kershaw County.
Yes, in Kershaw County.
Yeah, waiting to talk to the sheriff on that. Residents, I'm being told by a producer, being pulled to safety by Columbia Police Department officers. And so is that, what street is that on? Is that on? All right, I'm waiting to hear from them to get that clarified. All right, some of the areas to avoid: southbound traffic on South Lake Drive at Gibson Road. They're being detoured to Bickley Road. That is in Lexington. That police department just letting us know that. And we've got, of course, Sam, we have been covering a ton of flooding in Columbia. Now, I thought we just said Reed was in Lexington.
I thought so, yeah. I think we were talking about a different street.
Guys.
So Reed Street, if we're talking about Columbia and that's what we're talking about, we're going to confirm that. But in 5 Points, we know that Blossom and Hardin, there is some flooding and pooling there. Also, I saw a couple of pictures on social media looking from the intersection of Gervais and Hardin Street, looking west down Gervais Street. There was some significant flooding there as well. And we know our Chad Mills is there in 5 Points. Chad, what does it look like now since we talked to you last?
Well, Sam, where I'm standing is right where the 5 Points meet, and it is it's looking pretty dry at this point. We're still getting some rain, but I guess you could say it's a bit of a lull right now. Hardin Street mostly dry except for some localized spots on the sides of the roads. Columbia Police Department still out here pretty heavily at this point monitoring things. Some barricades up at this time, but if we continue to walk down Divine Street toward Blossom Street, still a lot of water on Blossom Street. And last time we joined you, we were walking toward the Walgreens. They didn't really want to talk to us, but it looked like the store was at least partially flooded. They were getting some water into the Walgreens store there, which is a pretty common sight here in 5 Points. Now, we were just watching what looked like maybe a stalled out car, a couple people pushing it to higher ground. Don't see it at this point, but again, that is also a concern out here in 5 Points because it happens so quickly. That is the nature of flash flooding. People know it so well here in 5 Points, but it seems like every time there are people who are caught off guard. Cars are flooded here in 5 Points. Now, before we got here to 5 Points, we were actually closer to the station near the corner of Pickens and Green Street, which is the University of South Carolina. You might be familiar with that footbridge. It is a low spot underneath it. There were 2 cars stalled out under that footbridge. USCPD and Columbia Fire Department were out there making sure people weren't aware of that and drove into that, I would say maybe 2 or 3 feet of water there under that pedestrian bridge. Water was still there pretty solidly when we last left, and it looks like the rain is picking back up now. Sam.
Ed, I want to give an update on that Reed Street situation. Reed, R-E-E-D, that is by Drew Wellness Center and the Free Medical Clinic. Dr. Todd Crump, a good friend of mine, just texted that to clarify that, and he would know. So Reed Street down by Drew Wellness Center and the Free Medical Clinic, and specifically what was happening there is the flooding or the closure?
The Reed Street, those evacuations. They're evacuating Reed Street.
Okay.
So we want to take a look now out to Calhoun Street. We're hearing of some flooding there. As you can see, a car stuck in that water. So it looks like some significant pooling here at that intersection. So clearly avoid this area at all costs. This car is completely stuck in this flood water here. So you want to avoid this area on Calhoun Street. Again, this is Calhoun Street. Our crew is out there giving you this live look right now. We're certainly going to keep you posted as we hopefully do not continue to see that water rise. All right, let's go back to our meteorologists. Guys, what is the latest on kind of our severe thunderstorm threat at this point?
All right, well, the threat continues right now, of course, as we continue to watch those risk levels. The reason we are here, but we are looking at severe thunderstorm warnings. Now, we do have one that will continue until 4:15. That one is for parts of Lee, Richland, and Sumter counties. And as we look outside, you can see the rain that's in Columbia right now in the downtown area. Not terrible, certainly not as hard as we had earlier, and that's because we're starting to see the worst of it shift just to the east of Columbia, and at least that's the worst of this batch. So all of the areas shaded in the orange here, that's the area where, of course, we're seeing this severe thunderstorm warning. This will continue until 4:15, and it does include parts of Sumter County heading all the way over to I-95 into Tuberville. Underneath that, we have that flash flood warning. Of course, the storms have been moving over the same area. Ground is saturated. That, of course, means you could run into some localized flooding. In addition to all that, it is breezy, gusty winds out there. Wind speeds of 40 miles per hour in St. Matthews, 28 miles per hour for you in Sumter. And we do have wind speeds that could possibly gust higher up to 70 miles per hour as the storm itself continues to come through your area. So as we're looking at this, I put it in motion. Look at all the deep res that you see here. Those are the areas that we're really concerned with. Spinning up gusty wind, now flooding, a major concern in all of these areas. Now, what we can see, a few storm reports I wanted to give you. That's something that we're starting to track now in several areas. We were talking about that tornado, the possibility of a tornado. That's near Monetta, which is in Aiken County. Several reports of trees down near Johnston, and this is, of course, near the Baptist Church there in Johnston. And we did get a report of 68 mile per hour wind gusts, thunderstorm wind gusts, and this actually came in right from the airport. So look at all the lightning that we have in place. We're detecting the lightning, all of these areas. Notice Columbia here, we're starting to see the red or the deepest reflectivity, the highest rain, and the highest wind gusts starting to slightly move just east of the city. But it's coming in for you in Bishopville, it's coming in for you in Sumter. Let's head over there. Dalzell, look at your area, that deep red there. You're seeing those strong storms. Highway 444, if you're in and around Dalzell. Say from Dalzell heading all the way down to 378, this entire area, even up 261. Of course, we do know the plant there that makes the tires there. They're in that area. You're seeing that heavy downpour. Lots of rain in your area. Also over towards Sumter, heavy rain for you as well. We're now going to send it back over to the desk real quickly.
Yeah, Vaughn, thank you. Our Chad Mills still in 5 points for us, and I know that he has someone out there he's going to talk to. Chad, what you got for us?
I'll bring you in. You're fine. Well, Sam, I'm standing in Mad Vapes, which is on Blossom Street in 5 Points. I'm with the owner, Ron, here. And Ron, kind of give us an assessment of what happened.
Well, we're expecting heavy rains today. We're kind of prepared for it, or we like to think we are, but there's no fighting 5 Points, basically. So we were here, business open, and tried to deploy floodgates, but the water just came too quick and started coming in through the windows, through the doors, through the back door, and at some point we were trying to contain it. I just told my staff, just call it, we're done. We call our flood response team, and they'll be here as soon as the waters recede to clean up, and hopefully we'll be back in business before, within a few days, I would think. So.
Kind of walk us through what we see.
What you see, if you could smell, you'd smell sewage smell. This is sewer water, standing water. We're looking at about, I'd say, a good solid inch. I've been doing a floor squeegee, trying to get rid of anything. Basically, this is our display cases are mounted off the floors because in preparation for this, we have nothing on the floor. Generally, we're probably not going to take any product damage, and we hope to be back in business by Friday, I'm hoping.
You hate to say it, but it's almost a science at this point with a lot of you business owners here in 5 Points, knowing that it's going to happen and knowing that you are probably going to have to clean up 2 or 3 times a year. Is that the case?
Yeah, this is our 7th flood in 2.5 years. Only one of them caused us to lose business for a day. Stan, our owner here, takes good care of us. He pays for the cleanup. He's working with the city to try to get answers. That's what all the business owners here want, is a solution to the drainage problem here at 5 Points.
All right, thank you so much, Ron, and our well wishes are with you as you clean up after this flood. If you look outside, you can see that the area has mostly dried up at this point. Even some of the areas we showed you earlier, you'll be able to see the blue lights there for sure. Columbia Police Department still out here monitoring conditions in 5 Points. Guys.
Okay, want to let you know that thing I mentioned to you earlier about Kershaw County and a fully involved structure being on fire. That's on Lake Watery, a home near the water there, the lake, which is part of Kershaw County, goes into Fairfield County. And so the person who just posted it gave me the information saying pray for those firemen because they're having a tough time getting that fire out and they're so close to the power lines. So we'll continue to get more information on that. I believe we have Richland County Sheriff's Department on the line. Sergeant Brittany Giacomonis is joining us right now. Sergeant, bring us up to speed on what you're seeing. I know that there are numerous roads being closed throughout the Columbia area and all of Richland County. What are you seeing specifically?
Well, right now in Richland County, we're just seeing that there's absolutely a lot of traffic because people are getting off of work. Work has let out around 1 o'clock, I believe. A lot of the businesses have closed. So we're seeing a lot of cars on the street still. And we just want people to be mindful that to drive carefully, to get home safely, and hydroplaning can still occur when you're driving slow. So remember to keep your headlights on. Remember to keep your windshield wipers going. And if you're following too close, to back off the car in front of you. There are going to be a lot of accidents. We know Highway Patrol is probably out right now as well. But the biggest thing is if you don't have to be on the road, stay off the road, get home to a safe location. That way everybody can remain safe.
And Sergeant Giacomonis, have you guys gotten any damage reports that you can report at this time? I know we're following kind of that localized flooding, but any damage reports at this point?
Right now, I don't have any confirmed damage reports. We're just monitoring as far as deputies answering the regular calls that we're still getting. Of course, if you do have any power lines that are going down, if you do have any trees that are falling, don't try to move those things yourself. Do utilize the emergency contact numbers. If you need to call 911, do so. We do have the actual non-emergency number as well, and that's 803-252-2911. Again, that's 803-252-2911, and that's for any non-emergency situations because, of course, 911 will probably be tied up with a lot of more emergency situations.
You know what, Brittany, can you clarify then for our viewers what would be considered an emergency and a non-emergency? So if there's an accident, do you want them, but everyone's okay and, doesn't require immediate medical help, is that this number you want them to call or do they call 911 for that?
Right. Now, for any typical vehicle accident, whether it's somebody injured or not, we still want you to call 911. If there's possibly if you see maybe a power line down or a tree down, and trying to keep our 911 lines, open, we want you to dial that non-emergency number, which is 252-2911, 252-2911.
All right. Sergeant Brittany Giacomonis with the Richland County Sheriff's Department. Keep us posted if things get worse. And one thing our meteorologists have been telling us is it's not over yet. We've had a couple rounds go through. But another round could be coming still. Yeah. We've got a sinkhole situation now we want to bring your attention.
Yeah, Assembly and Lady Street, Columbia Police is just letting us know there has been a sinkhole reported there. Barricades have not gone up yet. They are going to get them up as soon as possible. But we want to tell you to avoid that area at all costs. Again, a sinkhole reported at the corner of Assembly and Lady Street. Columbia Police saying to avoid that at all costs. Those barricades will be up soon, and we do have a crew on the way there so we can get you the latest information.
We have pictures of damage, and as we show you some of the damage pictures that have come in, we know that certain places like in addition to just roads being closed, there have been places where a barn went down in Saluda as well as a silo. Lots of trees are going to be down. You can send us your pictures once it's safe. You know, just don't even risk it yet, just when you can. And the other thing they are asking you to do is to not travel if you don't have to. A lot of well, as you well know, a lot of schools throughout the Midlands let out early today. A lot of churches that usually meet on Wednesday evenings have canceled things. My church, Shandon Baptist Church, sent out a notice earlier today saying all programs for tonight closed, and that's the case with a lot of places, so do call first. Even restaurants have closed the doors for the day. The one in 5 Points, the Chick-fil-A there, to allow their workers to get home. And because 5 Points can be, you know, such a bad area for flooding, they have closed the doors as well. So if you do not have to travel, don't. And especially because where you may be going may end up being closed. Now, that said, USC has not given us word yet that the concert tonight for the students who were let out earlier today because of the weather, they've not said anything about it being canceled. At this point, it is still on, but if that changes, we will let you know. That concert being at the Colonial Life Arena later this evening.
Well, and as Sergeant Giacomona said, you know, they don't have any specific reports at this point of damage or power lines down, but we are continuing to get videos and pictures from viewers and our reporters in the field of a lot of this localized flooding. And again, that sinkhole, Columbia Police reporting a sinkhole at the corner of Assembly and Lady Street. So a lot of these things are just coming in. So again, we want to reiterate, do not go out on the roads if you don't have to. A lot of these things have not been reported to officials yet, and we're trying to bring them to you as quickly as possible. Yeah,
and firefighters on the scene telling our Leland Pender where Blossom Street between Pickens and Barnwell and Columbia is closed. Leland Pender saying that one car was abandoned in the road. The other car was a stranded driver. Road will remain closed. And then that Maxie Gregg Park area on Blossom Street in Columbia, if you were to see it right now, it's an absolute pool. And so let's go to the Emergency Management Division.
Yep, our Ashley Holland is there. And Ashley, what is the status there? What are officials telling you?
Standing outside of the Emergency Operations Center, we know that staff here are closely monitoring this line of storms we're experiencing right now. They're meeting and they're standing by to let us know the latest as soon as they hear it. Right now in Lexington County, I'm in West Columbia. It seems the tornado threat is not here at the moment, though we still could face severe thunderstorms. I'll step aside right now, and we're looking out at a steady rain. Those flags on that flagpole right now billowing in the wind as the rain just comes down. Emergency officials here tell me that we're not out of the woods. There's still that line of storms that's coming through right up through the Midlands of South Carolina. They're keeping an eye on that, and it could take several hours for those storms to get through. But I will tell you, driving over here about maybe an hour ago, there was an ominous sky. It was kind of gray and green, the rain coming down, a lot of traffic trying to get out of the area since a lot of schools and businesses and workplaces closed early today to try to get people safe and off the roads. Emergency officials here want to stress for people to try to stay off the road, since there have been reports of those roads damaged and some cars left on the streets. Not sure if people are trying to get off the roads, but they want people not to drive, and they want to stress safety. They want people to be sure to stay up to date with the weather alerts. They want people to keep an eye out on the conditions, since in certain places they could be ripe for tornadoes. They want people to just take it seriously if the word is put out for people to take cover, and to remember that would mean for them to shelter in the centermost place of their homes. And they want people to not try to outrun the storm. For them to shelter in the centermost circular motions in the clouds or any signs of tornado. They say at that point it's time to find a ditch or